Welcome everybody to Midnight's Edge. I'm Tom Connors. With me is Andre. How you doing, sir?
Greetings, everyone. I'm fine. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I was about to say, but thanks for joining me is probably
Yeah,
the appropriate way of
kind of
putting
like we're
it.
just hanging out here. You've seen the movie. I haven't seen it yet. I don't get to see it till tomorrow, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you
Depending
want to
on how
look
you
at it.
look at it,
Yeah,
like because
exactly.
basically the movie opened in my country today. It opened in plenty places in Europe today, and I was able to catch one of the first screenings in Norway, so that I could share everything with you guys. So thanks to everyone who's joined us. Feel free to ask your questions and everything that we catch. I'm very happy to answer, so that we can confirm the leaks, the rumors, and spell some myths. Because here's the thing, though: the leaks, they're all true. They're all horribly true. However, there's a larger context, which means that some of the things aren't necessarily as good or as bad as they might seem when you read them on a paper. So that's kind of like some of the stuff that we'll be addressing in this live discussion, live Q&A, for lack of a better word. So yeah, that's what we're doing here today, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, we'll definitely get to some questions from you guys out there. We got a super chat already, so we might as well try and address that. Let me see if I still got it here in the StreamYard thing. Probably not.
Oh,
No,
I
it
got it
appears
from
we lost it already, but I do have it in this private chat here. Captain Harris sent us $5. Good review. Here's $5 for the entertainment to come, whether it be spoilers or YouTube doing another BS takedown halfway through the stream.
yeah,
Boy, isn't that poignant to start out with
yeah,
Captain
that's
Harris
a
always
great
knowing what to
start.
say.
Yeah, that's a fantastic start. For those of you who may not know what Captain Hare was referring to, thank you, by the way, Captain Hare. What he's referring to is that it was the same thing with Captain Marvel. There, I also saw the movie a few days earlier, and I reviewed it live, like I'm doing right now. And someone from Disney were obviously watching, and they didn't like what I had to say, because as soon
Allegedly.
as I started slaughtering the movie, because I was one of those who had defended it. I had defended Brie Larson, and I had defended the movie prior to its release. Then I saw the movie, and I could defend it no more. And then the stream was shut down. Like you and I, we kept on like talking for like 2 minutes
Yeah, and you're
before
like,
we figured
I
out.
don't think we're live because you had noticed, I think, in the chat, everybody's like, where'd the chat? Well, the chat just kind of quit, I think, is what
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was.
Everyone was just like so quiet. I was like, "Hello, can you hear me? Like, what's going on?" And then like Rob texted and saying that the stream was shut down. So that was quite a thing.
Yeah, it was really weird. So, I mean, of course, I don't know if we'll have that happen today. Hope not.
Yeah, well, I
But we'll
think that
see.
they're probably too busy with everything else to keep.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, that's also when we first commissioned our notorious artist, Not Some Kid,
Yeah,
to do artwork for
just in
Captain
case.
Marvel. Yeah, just in case, so that they would have no excuse. So in the review I later published, there was no music, no images, just the fantastic artwork from Not Some Kid.
And we followed suit with your Rise of Skywalker review because they had been DMCA, sorry, claiming all the leaked photos. So we're like, you know what? Better safe than sorry, because the moment we use any photo at all, they'll try and come after us or something. So we're like, you know what? Let's call Not Some Kid again and get some more pics.
Yeah, but
So
guys, let's get into what we're here for,
yes,
namely the Star Wars leaks and reviews. I have seen the movie. I posted my review already. Overall, as I said there, the movie is a mess. But there's a hedge there. Things could have been so much worse. It could have been better too, but it's easier for it to be worse, given the corner that The Last Jedi had painted the franchise and the next movie into. So I can't blame Colin Trevorrow for not wanting to do it, and I don't blame J.J. Abrams for kind of like the mistakes that were made there, and some mistakes were made. But overall, it was kind of like a Herculean task to try to make another episode after The Last Jedi. That has to be kept in mind. And with that, let's get into some questions and stuff like that. Tom, do you have some first to begin with that?
Well, I mean, gosh, I mean, that's the thing. And normally I would have a million questions, but I think pretty much everything's been answered for the most part in the between the leaks and everything else. And we've seen a few reviews already, and from your review, we got a little bit more context on a few things, it sounds like. But overall, I mean, I said this before we started. I feel like I've already seen the movie, so it's really kind of difficult to kind of really come up with something offhand. Gosh. So as far as like on a level of how do you think this is going to perform with the overall general audience, I guess?
I think it's going to open fairly huge, as you'd expect from a Star Wars movie. But then I think it's going to collapse really hard, really fast. I honestly think it's a good chance this movie is not hitting $1 billion.
Yeah, and I was thinking like, oh, there's no way it's not going to hit $1 billion. And then after the movie started, the besides the leaks that we had been reporting on, when actual pictures started leaking online, and now we have actual footage that is leaked online, I don't know if they're gonna make $1 billion. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm out, I'm done. You know, just kind of. I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of people have canceled their pre-ordered tickets today.
But let's get into some questions, because I see that there are many of them.
We are starting to pile up some super chats here. Yes,
just to dig into some questions,
which we're not complaining about. We do love them so much. You guys do keep the lights on, literally. Motolicious, $2. Who shot JR? Kristen Shepard shot JR.
I never saw that series. So
I did, but I had to look it up just to remember. But I was ready for that. So Automata sent us $5. So are you all ready for the narrative that Episode 9 is actually bad because it capsulated to toxic fandom?
Yes.
Capitulated?
I'm completely ready for that. Guys, Rey is no longer a Mary Sue. There, I said it. Rey has never been better than she has in this movie. In this movie, she has a character. She is, of course, super freaking duper awesome, powerful, yes, but not inhumanely so as she was in the earlier movies. She is made more human in this one. And for that, I think all the blue check marks on Twitter are going to have a freaking fit. Because from the leaks, you could easily get the impression that Rey would be the bestest ever, as Doomcock likes to say. I'm sorry I butcher any kind of imitation, but within the context of the movie, Rey has a character. She's humanized. She's no longer a Mary Sue. And that's the highlight of the movie. And shall we try to get back into some questions? DMB said early on, how much does drawing kids' work pay these days? Well, you tell us, because these are going up for sale, aren't they, Tom?
I think so. I think we're working on something.
Yeah, we're working on something. So stay out for that. Okay.
He gets paid a lot.
Yeah,
a lot more than I do.
Work harder. We'll see. Okay, let's see other questions that we see here. Star Rose says, please tell what happened. Well, how long you got? Give me some specific questions.
2.5 hours. Well, you did a review already, so we do suggest you check out that review.
Yeah, I can tell you that in terms of what happened, this is the most stupid opening scroll of all the Star Wars movies, because basically it says that
the dead speak is how it
kicked
started.
Into action by Palpatine starting blogging and announcing his awareness. So Kylo Ren has to go and seek him out and kill this enemy to his power. That's what started the whole story, and the rest I'm sure we'll get into. But basically, just
so he's tweeting out like, "Feeling cute might take over the galaxy."
So yeah.
LOL smiley face. Send.
Chabowski, asks, who had Palpy's kid? The man looks like a testicle. Well, hard to argue with that. We have no idea who was the woman who gave birth to Palpatine's son. We have no clue. The movie doesn't really say anything about it. Actually, we have to guess ourselves on the kind of like breach that has been between Palpatine and his son and the son's wife and their child. We kind of like have to guess. Although one thing is clear, what Palpatine wants with Rey, I can say this. The reason that Palpatine wants Rey, he doesn't really want to kill her. He wants her brought to him so that she can kill him. Because that way he can be one with the Force and reincarnate in her. Those Force visions that she's seen of herself as like Dark Rey, that's Dark Rey with the soul of Palpatine in her. So that's kind of like what he wants with her to begin with. And then that goal changes, because at this point, Palpatine he's not really alive. He's like a corpse that's just being held up by machine helps, basically.
Okay, so she does kill him then. So what
No,
happened?
she doesn't. Well, she does, but
yeah.
But apparently she does it in a way where that doesn't happen.
That makes no sense. It doesn't. I've seen this scene. Okay,
yeah.
It made me cringe, and I know how you say it kind of works within the context of the film, but
yeah, only kind of, because you are so blasted with stupid action that's designed, I think, to prevent you from thinking. Because if you think too much, you'll realize none of this shit makes any sense. Because now suddenly the Sith, they also apparently have Force ghosts and are still alive and well within the Force.
Right,
because all the previous Sith are alive within Palpatine. And that's
doesn't that kind of disregard the earlier movies, because that was the whole thing, is when Vader turns to the light side at the end and dies, his Force spirit shows up as Anakin.
Yeah. Well,
so how would he be Vader inside of this meat puppet if that's the case?
Well, Vader, it's just gone, I guess. But anyway, all the other Sith then apparently.
Okay, well then who the hell was Snoke?
Oh, he was just a clone. That's actually a cool thing, because, well, no, it's not a cool thing. It's a really stupid thing, because when we get to Palpatine, we see like these huge. You remember Alien Resurrection, where
unfortunately
Ridley was cloned, and you had like these tubes with loads of other failed Ripley clones.
Yeah, where the movie really went off the rails. Yeah,
these glass jars as well, and in them are the other failed Snoke clones.
So who is Snoke?
Evidently, he's just a clone, I guess.
Of who?
Well, I don't know. We just see like the discarded Snoke clones lying in there. So probably this was just like one puppet. Shit. Maybe it was just like a puppet that he used to act through or something. I don't know. The movie doesn't say. Again, don't think too much. Look at the action.
I'm perplexed already. Yeah. I don't understand this, because I was trying.
Robert Mort also says Rey being the granddaughter of Palpatine was at least a good move to make. Well, I don't know. I think it was the thing that they had to do because Rian Johnson killed Snoke, and they were like, "What the fuck are we going to do now?" I think that was the only thing that they had planned. I don't think that it was ever the plan to begin with.
No, and
good idea.
I think Snoke was meant to be somebody a little bit more important. I think was the whole thing.
Yeah. It's important right now was that Snoke was the one that Palpatine took out of the glass jar and attached his strings to and sent off to train Kylo Ren.
Well, and we know Anakin's voice is in there, so that makes no sense that Vader's voice or Vader's spirit would be in. Yeah, I'm trying to wrap my head around this and figure this out because that makes no sense at all.
Good luck with you. Or
How
good
can
luck
you
with
have
that.
both Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker spirit?
Well, maybe you don't have Darth Vader spirit, but you can still have all the other Siths from before then.
Well, because he's like, I'm every voice you've ever heard in your head.
Yeah.
And yeah, then he goes
Or
Darth
maybe he
Vader's
was just
voice.
mimicking it. I don't know.
That's what I was wondering too. So is it really that or is it really Palpatine? That
Well,
was everybody's
the
question.
movie isn't clear.
Yeah, let's go back to old leaks and find out. I'm trying to get caught up on these super chats here. I'm trying to remember where I left off here.
Toth asks, do all the original trilogy characters die in one explosion as reported in the leaks? To be fair, was one cut of the movie, and that's not the cut that they went with. No, the original characters, apart from Leia, are still all alive and well by the movie's end. None of the original characters die.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the final leaks kind of put the notion that any of the original series characters outside of Leia got killed.
Yeah.
And of course, if you had read Anthony Daniels' book, he also kind of gives away in the end of the book that 3PO survives. So
yeah. All the original cast, they all survive. No one dies here.
All right. Yeah, I'm trying to keep, and you guys are sending us so many super chats, and I appreciate it so much. I'm trying to keep up with them here. I don't know if you can bring them up on the thing on your end, but yeah.
Yeah, I can bring them up in my end, no problem.
Let's see where you left off here.
The questions, the rest of you are going to have to send your questions a couple of times before we get to them because there's fly by in the chat.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep up with the super chats right now. I apologize to anybody else out there who's trying to get questions, and it's a moment. But yeah, so go on to the next one while I'm collecting some more here.
Comment of the day: the only way it barely makes sense. Don't think about it. Yes, I agree. I think that's why they put so much action in it, because don't think too much about it. Because the Force, my God, they did a number on the Force and all the stuff that the Force can do. But again, I think it was necessary for them to give Rey an arc, and they were able to be reasonably successful in that.
Two movies too late, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's absolutely true.
I mean, that's the problem we have here. Is this is a movie that's not only supposed to end this trilogy, it's supposed to bring the conclusion of the entire saga. How does it work on that front in your eyes? I mean, you're not obviously I don't know if anybody's listening who's aware of this, but you're not a huge Star Wars fan to begin with.
No,
you've seen the movies when you were about teenager, I think you said.
Yeah. What I can say about that is that in terms of closing the entire saga, I don't think it does a good job at all. It's, if anything, it leaves like more questions open. What it does, it closes this trilogy, and it's a desperate close. It's like you can see all the contrivedness, how much they had to work to try to make the deck stack up somewhat. So is it meant to conclude the entire 9-movie saga? No. Well, yes, it's meant to, but it doesn't succeed in doing so. It only succeeds somewhat in closing this trilogy by more or less retconning away The Last Jedi, because The Last Jedi is what completely ruined this. So in many ways, this tries to follow The Force Awakens, but really the whole movie is a trilogy of its own, because it has to start a new story. And this new story is done, as we learn in the opening stroll, it's kicked off by Palpatine starting live blogging on the far side of the galaxy. So Kylo Ren has to go and stop him, and the others have to go and find Kylo, and it's messy and difficult to follow. And that's
you're rambling just to tell the story is hilarious. I'm sorry.
The movie is rambling. The movie is rambling. That's the thing. There's no
You
one-
never are like that. You're so usually meticulous with your words because I know you have to, the process of just having to think. I'm not speaking my native language, and you have to think about what you're going to say before you say it, and all this time, and you're just sitting here doing something I've never really heard you before, and that's just to sit there and ramble.
It's a rambling movie. What the fuck do you expect?
I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying, to me, it's hilarious. I've never seen you like this before, like to where you're just like, I don't really know how to explain this movie. I don't. It's not even. It doesn't even sound like a movie anymore. It just sounds like a bunch of incoherent, babbling scenes that are just kind of crammed together. And it's like,
in some sense, that's what it is, and they distract you with all the action so you don't think too much. Phoenix Zoo says, Angry Andre is tight. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for this pitch meeting. That's going to be freaking hilarious. I can't wait for the critical drinker, because I couldn't recap this movie if you paid me to.
I can hear you struggling now just trying. That's what I'm saying. That was my whole point. It's like, this is insane, just trying to listen to you try and, like, make your way through this.
You know what? Let's just answer specific questions.
Yeah. Let's get to I was going to say the super chats, and we'll try and get to some other questions.
Retell this is going to freaking fail.
I think that there's more than enough out there for people if you really want to get the breakdown of the story itself, per se. Yeah. So what was the next one? Where did we leave off here?
Let's get into the super chats. Then we'll get into questions in the chat afterwards.
Yes.
Because we got a few of them. So guys, again, sorry about the rambling, but it's a rambling movie. There's no way to get around that. So yeah. All right. Oh wow. Let's see. Automata. He already asked about the toxic. Says, so are you all ready for the narrative that episode 9 is actually bad because it capitulated to toxic fandom? Articles are already on that.
Okay,
case.
Yeah, we did that one.
Yes, we did that, and I will be very happy to respond to those articles.
Yeah, we've already brought that up, that they've kind of already set up. And I think that was what Scott Mendelson's whole "this movie is the fans' fault" tweet was all about.
No, it isn't. It's The Last Jedi's fault.
No, he said it's the fans' fault, though.
No, yeah, he said wrong.
That's what I'm saying. He's setting up the narrative already, is what I'm saying.
He's setting up the narrative, but he's a liar.
Yeah.
It's The Last Jedi's fault.
Well, of course.
They don't have to deal with the fans being angry. They have to deal with The Last Jedi painting them into a corner.
I mean, let's face it here. They threw out 2 plans for The Last Jedi, basically. Because they threw out the first plan, which was George Lucas's plan. However loose that was in whoever's description of it, to do The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and down the road. And then whatever JJ had set up and planned for the next few films, that got screwed up by The Last Jedi. That's why Trevorrow left, because everything was in complete disarray. I mean, it's gotten to a point where it's like, I know they can't hide the fact that it's a mess anymore. I mean, yeah. Anyway, continue. Next one.
Let's move on. Austin Trench sent us $1.99. At least the Hasbro-verse won't be as effed as Star Wars. You know, that's true. Hasbro-verse, which started in its modern form with Bumblebee, and last I heard will continue with the G.I. Joe prequel movie that will cross over with Bumblebee, like Transformers 1990 or G.I. Joe 90. I don't remember.
Yeah, they just announced something, or I heard something about it.
Something like that. I haven't gotten into it yet. But yeah, that seems much more promising than where Star Wars is at right now. Yeah. Grendel Fan 84 sent us $4.99 saying, "Hey guys, have you seen Andy Signore's latest video with comments about Doomcock and other YouTubers spoiling episode 9, despite them being right?" No, I haven't. No. Have you, Tom?
No, I don't. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be seeing it either. Aaron C sent us $5 saying, "After this disaster, how much is it really going to take to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy? It seems crazy that she's still there." I think that she's going to serve out her term. She is done sometime over the course of 2020 or 2021. I'm
Well,
not
we
too
don't
sure
even
how
know
it
the
will be.
specifics of her contract. That's the other
Yeah.
thing people don't realize. I mean,
What we do know, though, is that there is no way that she'll be given the power to do anything else, and she's
no.
completely out of the loop. Like, for instance, she said that there will be no more trilogies, and then Iger instantly went
Well,
off
they
on what
actually
he said.
announced it like 2 or 3 weeks before she just said that they
Yep.
were.
So she, for all intents and purposes, she's gone. On paper, she's still there. And how long is she going to be there? Probably until the end of her contract, unless disaster strikes, unless like this
Right.
tops out at 400 million worldwide or something. Then maybe they'll have a
What
case
was
to
the
fight.
crowd like where you went?
Oh, it was practically empty.
Oh, really?
Yeah, practically empty.
Wow.
But
Hello,
this was
Mecca.
daytime screening,
Still, though, but
working days, so it wasn't supposed to be full, but still it was pretty much empty. But you can't extrapolate from an empty daytime screening like that when people don't watch movies in daytime here generally.
well, we'll see how it goes.
Stone Cold 10 times or 10x sent us
Yes.
$2 saying movie should be called Star
Star
Wars
Wars
Damage
Damage
Control.
Control.
Yes, perfect title. That's exactly what it should be called.
Well, I got an argument, not really an argument, not more like a disagreement with somebody over. I'm like, most of this movie is a retcon of Last Jedi, and they're like, no, it's not. It's not a retcon. I'm like, yeah, it is. It's a retcon, and basically we had to agree to disagree to the point where I finally said, I'm not meaning fixed by the word retcon. I'm meaning it. Everything it does is in response to,
That
and then we
yes,
were able to agree on that part.
that I agree completely. Everything here is about adding some kind of detail to what was revealed there. Like I said, for instance, in The Last Jedi, you have Kylo Ren telling Rey that your parents were nobodies and they abandoned you. Whereas in this movie, he's like, your parents were nobodies. Oh, but I forgot to mention, they were nobodies by choice. They could have been like the super duper powerful because your old man, he's the son of Palpy. So they chose to be nobodies. Oh, they didn't really abandon you. They tried to protect you from Palpy. So
But they
yeah,
still don't really
more detail.
explain her training at all. It doesn't sound like really.
Oh, it's not. It's kind of, and it's not her fault. It was like more of a fluke of the Force. How she and Kylo, they are bound together by this super duper ultra special limited edition Force connection between the two, which I think is something from like Eastern philosophy, with like two people being linked together by some kind of like red band or something like that, so that they're meant to meet each other. Something. It's like that's the inspiration for this, and you have this thing in the Force as well. And the movie says that it only happens every few centuries, so no one is like really waiting for it. But it happened with the two of them, and this link is what made Rey super duper extra powerful. It's not her fault. It's not that she is so amazing because she's a whammon or anything. It's that Force link. So they retcon that away.
All right. Next super chat I have here is Traveling Zeus Lover.
Yes, who sent us $5 saying, what Star Wars movie will the Mandalorian showrunner make for Disney? I have no
We don't know
clue,
yet.
but I'm sure it'll be better than whatever we've gotten so far.
I have a feeling though, because they said that after this movie comes out, they're supposed to announce who's going to be overseeing the next trilogy that's going to alternate with the Avatar films. I wouldn't be surprised if it's produced by Kevin Feige and like Jon Favreau directs one. What's her name? Deborah
Reshwan?
Chow.
Michelle Reshwan or
No, Deborah Chow. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe she directed one, because she directed this last episode of Mandalorian that dropped today, and it's amazing. Yeah, by the way, a new Mandalorian dropped. I don't know if you're aware of
How
that.
funny is that? No one gives a shit about the Mandalorian today. Everyone is busy celebrating.
Why did they do that? Why did they
Star
drop that
Wars.
on a Wednesday? I don't know why they did that. I don't
No,
understand.
they did that so that on Friday the Mandalorian wouldn't take anything away
Yeah, I
from
didn't
the
think of that.
opening weekend.
And I
That's why.
suppose, yeah,
That's
it's
why.
only in because
Because
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
they don't want to cannibalize their own box office proceeds. So that's why. That's the reason.
but this is a great episode, and it makes up for some of the bottle episodes, and it had a great cliffhanger, and
Cool.
yeah, I think I think that this next episode is really going to be
Yeah.
a great one too. So you'll have to check that out. So I don't know when we're going to do our Mandalorian review. It'd probably be, I don't know if it'll be today, but probably be tomorrow. I'm assuming. If not,
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to see
got a chance
this
to
or
see
the previous one, so I have some catching up to do there.
all right.
The
Next
DC
one.
Titan sends us $2 Canadian, asking, was it Herculean or Sisyphean? A little bit of both. Herculean task. It was the end result was not good. I think we can all agree on that. Bart Allen sends us £5, saying, Andre and Tom, greetings from Manchester, UK. Well, I've been there.
Greetings.
I was in Manchester. I quite liked it. I was in the city centre. When was it? It's been quite a long time. I was there in 2006. Had a great time there. So yeah. And anyway, his location aside, wouldn't it be utterly bittersweet, poetic, and ironic if Joker actually ends up making more than The Rise of Skywalker? It would be, and I do not rule out the possibility that it will. I'm getting more and more uncertain that this movie is going to make it to $1 billion.
Yeah, and not only that, Rise of Skywalker would have to make a buttload of money just to be as profitable as the Joker, let alone.
It'll never be as profitable. You know what I heard? I heard that the reshoot, I don't know if this is accurate. This is just something that I was told.
Yeah, I think the same person told me this morning too. Yeah.
So take it completely as rumor, but the reshoots apparently cost $200 million on top of an already incredibly expensive movie. So it needs to make more than $1 billion just to break even. So in terms of profitability,
well, look at it.
No way.
Look at it this way. I think Last Jedi cost like 300 some million, and that's reported budget.
That's what they admit to.
And that's, yes. And that didn't have as many reshoots or anything like that. So just put that into perspective.
Yeah. William Jones sent us $2. Can we just write this off as bad fanfic? I think that, yes, you can. That's the way to do this. Like, just in your own head canon, discard this whole thing. Because really it does nothing to add anything to the Star Wars mythos. This whole trilogy, in my opinion, detracts from Star Wars mythos. It doesn't add to it. Tom, you're the Star Wars fan. Your thoughts on that?
Sorry, I just unplugged my headphones. Still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was just wondering, do you think that this whole trilogy, that it added to or subtracted from Star Wars as a whole? So you'd be better off in your own head canon just striking it from it.
Now that pending seeing The Rise of Skywalker, even though I know what I know about it now, I can pretty much extrapolate what my overall feelings are probably going to be on the thing. We've reached a point now where between this, Solo, and The Last Jedi, I can officially say that this series, the Disney's venture into Star Wars, is 10 times worse than anything the prequels have done to Star Wars. There's going to be a lot of people who are very happy to hear me say that.
Yeah.
And I know they're going to be dancing in the aisles and going to be like, I was right all along. And it's like, yeah, well, whatever. I didn't have as many movies then to say that. And at that point, and when I first said that kind of stuff, all we had to go by was The Force Awakens and Rogue One. There was nothing wrong, you know. And frankly, I think the damage that I kind of had this same conversation with somebody earlier today. Frankly, the damage that was done by The Last Jedi is so irreparable that there was no way you were going to be able to fix it with a third movie. So I think it was kind of done then. So yeah, I basically, if you're able to forget these movies, then oh yeah, in your head canon, you can just go on living with the EU books and whatever you want to believe is the ongoing stories of the Skywalker saga or whatever you want to call it, to where you don't have to. I mean, I mean, it's your life. You know, I mean, it's more so, are you able to like forget that part of your life? I mean, that's the logistics of it. But oh yeah, I think at this point, I think we're gonna actually see a movement of people who are going to be like EU adopters or readopters or something like that, to where they'll just basically disregard these movies
I
altogether.
certainly think we'll see a movement of people that want these stricken from canon, and I can't blame them, because now when we have the whole trilogy ready in hand, it's a disaster. The trilogy as a whole, it doesn't tell any story. What the fuck was the point of it? Of course, you don't know that, but I don't know either. I've seen the whole trilogy. It had no story. It has no overall theme. There was nothing. It
Well,
was a
no, because that
complete
went
waste
to
of
the
time, everything.
wayside. Yeah, that went to the wayside when they had to make a movie that was basically, a retro Star Wars movie, which is
Yeah.
what The Force Awakens was, and then the rest of it went out the door when they decided to let Ryan Johnson go willy nilly in the sandbox and shit in everybody's, toys. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, and then they try to fix it a little bit and try to get it back to where it was, but there's no more Sith or Jedi. It's like, well, you kind of have a Jedi in Rey, formerly Palpatine, now Skywalker, so let's just call her Rey. But really, the whole thing is pointless. Like, what's the story? It's nothing. It's pointless, utterly pointless. So yeah,
Well,
if you
maybe
can
actually the
remove
only way
the
they could have
headcanon,
fixed.
then do it.
Sorry, I was gonna say the only way they could have fixed this maybe would be to bring Luke back from the dead somehow, and basically make a lot of these new characters not mean nearly as much as they were trying to. I think that was probably the biggest problem. It sounds like from what you're telling me is how JJ had to try so hard to make these characters mean so much, these new ones, when they don't earn the
Oh, they gave
weight.
up completely. The focus right now is only on Ray and Kylo. Everyone else was just completely put to the
That's
wayside.
my point, and that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. And he has to literally just kind of like go through all these hoops to make both of these characters mean something now, when you really should have bypassed them. Like
yeah.
at this point, you should have, like I said, tried to find a way to bring back Luke into the mix, set up these Jedi's like, oh yeah, Rey's whatever, but no, it's her kid that's going to be the next big thing, and something like that, to where they could have planned for another series past this to kind of fix some of this, and
No,
because
I
like you
think
kind of.
yeah,
Well, I was just gonna say, because you kind of say in your review, and what everybody's been saying, you're gonna need a few movies to fix all this shit.
yeah,
This should have been multiple movies,
yeah. It
and
should have
so
been
on.
like basically they should have said, okay, fine, episode 7 and 8. They weren't the new trilogy. The new trilogy is going to be 9, 10, and 11. That's the new trilogy. That would have worked. We would have had a different conversation now. But that's the path not to
Right,
take.
right. Or I was gonna say, just lead into a new trilogy and make a total of 12 movies, just to kind of
Yeah.
fix out of this and into something new and interesting that gets everybody
Yeah,
on board. But anyway,
exactly. Yeah, like they were able to salvage Rey by the end of this. I would say, but she's the only one. Like all the other
I
characters,
doubt many
all of
people
them,
are gonna share your views on that. But
probably no one will share my view. But all the other characters, they were all sacrificed on the altar of fuck. We have to try to fix this.
well, because there's so much that goes on here that basically just negates everything that was done before,
Yeah, yeah.
to where I see from your point of view, like, oh yeah, Rey as a character for this trilogy has been redeemed, but that's not going to matter in the eyes of most fans. And I mean fan is in fans, because they're going to still see it as just what it was to the entire first trilogy, and that is just a big turd right on top. And even the prequels, for that
You know
matter, because I
who
said,
got a really short end of the stick here? Poe Dameron. In the first movie, he was set up to be like the next Han Solo, if you will.
well, he
In
was
the
actually
last
meant to
Jedi,
die. That was the other thing.
yeah, be that as may, he didn't, but he probably wishes that he did.
I know.
Because in the Last Jedi, his only purpose was to be the personification of toxic white males and toxic masculinity, so that the purple hair gender studies woman could tell him off and put him in his place. And in this movie, he's just a really annoying comedy sidekick who doesn't do jack shit for the story. He's just there spurting one-liners. That's it. You've seen that trailer where he's like, "They fly now, they fly now, they
They
fly
fly
now."
now.
That
Yeah.
sums up his entire role in this movie.
That was his
That's it.
role in the last movie too, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he does. That's
Well,
it.
that's the problem. Is what he was. What Poe Dameron was in the original story, and that's probably part of the problem. Was he was meant to be your Drew Barrymore in the beginning of Scream. He was the red herring character. You were supposed to think he was going to carry you into the movie, and then you find out Finn is actually a character you're going to follow.
Finn was wasted too because
yeah, but that was, if you read, like, it's been so long since I read it, but like the original earlier drafts of the script, like that was the whole thing. That's why Poe Dameron didn't have shit to do the last half of the movie, because he wasn't meant to be there. But they liked his character so much in dailies that they kept him in the movie. But he was supposed to die when they got to the ground, and that's why Finn was supposed to take over his assignment. So he was kind of more of a generic character that we think we're supposed to invest in. Then we find out, oh no, it's this reluctant hero who was just trying to escape the new empire, and instead he found himself wrapped up into this new resistance plan with the map and everything. That was supposed to be the thing, and that's how he got thrusted into this whole ordeal in the first place. But no, they again, it all boils down to Rian Johnson's Last Jedi screwed up any momentum that this series could have had.
Completely ruined it. Completely ruined everything. And in this movie, then, Finn is also a complete waste. He's there. That's the biggest I can see for him, that he's there. And he gets to meet another former stormtrooper, actually several former stormtroopers. So he learns that he's not the only one that broke his orders and deserted.
So that makes him even less.
Yeah, that's the end of his character arc in the movie. Complete waste. Let's move on. Mark Sulkowski sent us 50 Swedish krona asking how many original trilogy characters die in this film. Well, obviously there's Leia, and who basically just decide to force call her son Kylo one last time, even though she knows that's going to kill her for some weird reason. We haven't been given a reason why giving that one phone call is going to end with her dying, but we are told that it does. She does it. She doesn't really speak with him. She just like shows up there, so he sees her, and then she goes to be with the Force. So yeah, that's how that was, and that was the end of her. I'm not going to say that her performance was awkward.
You're making me physically uncomfortable just telling you, like how can they do this?
No. What's going to make you physically uncomfortable is how they weakened at Bernie did, because they have like the footage of her.
Yeah.
But they all have like the earlier canned responses. That's what they have.
Yeah.
So they have all the other characters going around her, shouting the plot at her and explaining to the audience what's going on. Since she can't respond anything other than the pre-recorded canned response. So they basically have to set up the entire conversation to try to make the canned response fit, which it doesn't really do even. So when the character finally succumbs, she's really put out of her suffering. I still think that's the biggest mistake.
She shouldn't even be in this movie.
No.
They had more than enough time to fix The Last Jedi. That's what pisses me off more than anything. Yeah. And they had it totally set up to where you could let her get out of the movie, no problem. Because
you know what the really frustration is now after seeing this movie right here? If they had filmed The Last Jedi as it is right now, and then they had 1 year from Carrie Fisher, unfortunately passing, till the movie was released, it would have been so easy for them and say, okay, we're going to cut the Mary Poppins scene in space. That's where she dies.
That's my point, yes.
Reshoot some scenes so that everyone is mourning her. And
exactly.
Then towards the end, all we have to do is cut from the scene where Luke Skywalker goes to be with the Force. Just cut like 2 seconds before, so we don't see him disappearing. Then he's alive by the end.
That or just make it to where he actually goes there. But anyway, we're not going to get into that part of it. But yeah, no, I agree completely. Anyway, You're right. That's what I was saying from the start.
Movie.
Because she serves no purpose.
Yeah,
she serves zero purpose after that scene. She's in a coma for most of the movie. She shows up at the very end for no good reason other than to knock Poe out. And that's it. That's really all she's there for. And then plus, then you know what you do? You kind of switch Holdo's character around. You sign Laura Dern onto another movie because now she's got to fill the role that Leia was meant to fill. And you leave Luke alive, like you said. And guess what? Colin Trevorrow doesn't leave. Because there probably was enough there for him to work with. Sorry, Andre, continue.
Yeah, and you'd have a good movie here. That's what I think really ended this movie. That was the downfall of this movie right there. It was that they had to deal with no Luke, but they had to deal with Leia being in the movie, but no Carrie Fisher to film her. That is what killed this movie. Everything, all the problems have been around trying to work around that. Simple as that.
All right, what do we got next?
Everything else is derived from that. Yeah, let's get back to the super chats. The next one is TLJ Russian bot, which I'm sure will be getting loads of the blame for this. So it's just $4.99. Well, really not the Russian rubles. Anyway, hey guys, thanks for the Q&A. Andre, what do you give this movie on a 10 scale? I'll give it a 3 out of 10. 3 out of 10. That's what I think I'll give it. Maybe no more than 4 out of 10. Absolutely.
Wow.
No, I had 3 out of 10. Yeah, 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. Yeah, 4 out of 10, I think. Yeah, it's a good thing.
Compared to The Last Jedi, which one's worse?
I was actually asked this already. It's not a straightforward answer, because if you completely ignore everything that was before, if you just look at the two movies on their own, then The Last Jedi you don't have to like because of what it does to the character's legacy, but The Last Jedi on its own is a better no, it's not. I'm not going to say it's a better movie. That's a lie. But it is a more coherent movie. It is a more straightforward movie. Yeah, it does all of these surprises and everything, but it's a coherent, linear story. You don't have any trouble following it. By contrast, Rise of Skywalker is a complete and total Frankensteinian mess. In that sense, The Last Jedi is the better standalone movie. However, The Rise of Skywalker is that Frankensteinian abomination because of The Last Jedi. That has to go into the equation.
I kind of expected that, yeah.
Yeah, because The Last Jedi, that followed from The Force Awakens, which left the canvas wide open. Whereas The Last Jedi painted the story into this tiny little corner that they had to work their way out of in The Rise of Skywalker. So comparing the two is not a fair comparison. One is a better standalone movie, but the other has an excuse for not being so.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on with the super chats because we've gotten quite a few, so we don't want to...
Retro Blasting sent us $2 asking, is this better than Terrio's Batman v Superman? No, Batman v Superman.
Yeah, I've had to remind a lot of people that this was written by the same guy who wrote Batman v Superman, remember?
Yeah. Which maybe wasn't the best writer to get for this, but I will say that as convoluted as it was, I think that the extended version of Batman v Superman is not a bad movie, and it's certainly better than Rise of Skywalker.
All right, next question.
Master Rebel sent us 300 Icelandic krona. Are there any prequel-style lightsaber duels? Yes, there are. There are lightsaber duels in the movie. Absolutely. That was an easy one. And from my own country, Lille Trille sends 100 Norwegian krona. I have some money to spare. Here, take it, as I'm not going to see this movie. Tusen takk, Lille Trille. That's thank you in Norwegian. And Foo
Yeah, I'm
Fighter.
curious how many people have canceled their. I said that earlier, but yeah, how many people have canceled their tickets today?
I think it's going to be some, I'm certain. Foo Fighter sent us $4.99, saying, I saw the film yesterday. The final battle over Exegol was a bust. If you're hoping for eye candy of a cool battle with fighters, it lasts maybe 3 minutes. And it was the worst part of the movie, in my opinion. That final battle, the one with the horses and everything, it was so fucking stupid. My God, it was so stupid. It was CGI shitstorm is what I would call it. It was just frustrating. That was the worst Deus Ex Machina I've ever seen. You know what happens there? Because basically on Exegol, because the Sith GPS that points to Exegol, because Exegol is the hidden Sith planet. That is where the lifeless corpse emperor has been hiding these last 20, 30 years, whatever it is, and he's building a new fleet of massive destroyers, and these destroyers all have the capability of a Death Star. All of them. They can all blow up a planet, every single destroyer. And this planet is filled with them. And as you saw in the last Jedi, the rebellion or the resistance is really more of an insurgency at this point because they're all dead. There's like one ship left. Anyway, they decide to go to Smeagol or whatever the Sith world is called and take on this force head on. And obviously that doesn't work so well until Lando Calrissian shows up with additional support from like thousands upon thousands of just random ships that suddenly show up out of nowhere. And together they're able to take out all the destroyers with the help of the horses. Yes, I kid you not. Did that sound rambling? Well, that's because it was, and so is the movie.
This is like I can see the whatchamacallit pitch meeting show already.
Oh, I can't wait for it. My
It's
God,
just going to be like
so
20
awesome.
minutes of just rambling bullshit. It's going to be like the Gremlins 2 pitch meeting from Key and Peele. You ever see that?
No.
Oh, it's hilarious. Like the guy comes in, he's like, "All right, we're gonna make Gremlins 2. Tell us what you want." And he's like, "Oh, let's see. Let's do some fun Gremlins. Let's do like a bat Gremlin. All right, it's in the movie. What else? Let's do electric Gremlin in the movie. Girl Gremlin in the movie." Just like everybody's saying, that's what this same thing is gonna be. It's like, okay, we're gonna do the last Star Wars movie. What do you guys want in the movie? Space Horses in the movie. Ewoks in the movie.
There actually are Ewoks.
Yeah, I heard. Well, we already knew that because Warwick Davis, we seen him suiting up. It's like, and he was not young Warwick Davis, so
yeah. Well, neither was the Ewok he was playing. But yeah. So
excuse me, sorry.
But again, I just want to emphasize this so everyone knows: the movie, it's a mess, but it could have been much worse. And if this story had just been scattered across 3 movies, it would have been fine. The problem here is that it had to deal with a mess left for them by The Last Jedi. In my opinion, that is what ended this movie. That's what it's all about. And honestly, J.J. Abrams, I bear him no ill will over this movie. On The Force Awakens, he did as he was instructed by Bob Iger and by Kathleen Kennedy. And then he came back here to try to clean up the mess as best as he could. And he's not someone who's good at ending stories. But this I really can't hold against him because he was left with a really impossible task of trying basically to fix everything after The Last Jedi ended the trilogy 1 movie early. As I just have to always hedge and keep that in mind. With that being said, let's move on. Shogun Orta sent us $5 asking, could the movie miss billion mark due to price of reshoots, maybe like Solo supposedly? That's actually two questions in one, because how much it earns at the box office has nothing to do with the price of making it, including the reshoots. But I think that it very well could miss the billion mark at the box office due to the movie being bad and fans being burned out after the last couple of years. So I think it's a very good chance it's not seeing a billion. And it's also not seeing a profit because of the price of reshoots.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I see a lot of people say, oh, this movie made $4 billion back already, no problem. I'm like, nah, I wouldn't go to that extent.
No.
It's plausible that they're getting their heads above water, but you have to remember how much each one of these movies costs, how much the amount of money it costs to put into advertising. Yeah, sure, the Force Awakens made $2 billion or whatever, but that doesn't mean they get to keep all that money. Same thing with every movie down the line. So they only get a percentage of that. You start to add all that up, and then, okay, the merchandising deals. Yeah, that makes them a little bit of money. Okay, well, then look at the mess that the park was, the Galaxy's Edge. How much did that monstrosity cost them, to quote Danny DeVito from The Simpsons?
Yeah, I just saw a question in the chat relating to what we just said. It was Dan Fuentes who asked, does the space horsies have lasers in their heads? No, they're ordinary space horsies. So no they look weird because they're in space, but they're completely normal horsies other than that.
A lot of people are asking in the chat too who the gay kiss was between. It was supposed to happen in the movie. In the background,
there was a gay kiss in the background. Yes, there was.
Who was that?
I didn't register who it was.
Okay.
It was it wasn't one of the big characters.
It was supposed to be a character from The Last Jedi. That's all we knew.
Maybe it was the Hobbit.
Oh, Monahan? He wasn't in the last one, was he?
Well, I don't know. I didn't notice. I noticed that there was a gay kiss, but I didn't register who it was. Again, because this movie, it hurls so much at you. It's complete information overload.
Sounds like JJ. Yeah, Ewoks are in the movie. Nothing. I don't know if you heard us already on that one, but yeah. Let's get back to the super chats. What was the next one?
They're in the movie towards the end when they have like this fight parade where you see like different worlds and everything. There we have like the Ewoks a little bit. Moving on. D. Sweeney sent us $5 asking, is there at least some cool things? Sith troopers, Knights of Ren and such. And how does Han come back? Is he a normal ghost? Oh, great question. Thank you. Yes, there are some cool things. Of course, problem for the movie is that just because something is cool doesn't mean that something else doesn't suck. So it doesn't help the movie as a whole. But yes, there are Knights of Ren, Sith troopers. I don't know. There are certainly passive Sith followers because Palpatine, there on like his deathbed where he's being propped up, he's surrounded by these caped figures that seem more like zombies because they're just completely inanimate in the background. I don't know how cool that was, but what I thought was cool, what I kind of liked about the movie was the interactions between Kylo and Rey and Palpatine. Like this maybe saying the word threesome is wrong, but certainly like this trinity between them. That at least was for me the highlight of the movie. That was the one thing that kind of clicked. And that was the means of giving Rey an arc and humanizing her. So that was the highlight of the movie. And also the means how the Force worked with the Force teleportation, which is a brand spanking new thing. So I'm sure that Star Wars fans are going to absolutely hate it. But within the context of the movie, me as a non-fan, I thought it was like a little bit cool. There's one scene in particular where Kylo Ren, but now he's back Ben Solo again, like he's good. I'll get back to that in a moment when we get to Han Solo. He's good again, and he's completely surrounded by, I think it might be Knights of Ren or some other kind of troopers. And he's unarmed because he's thrown away his lightsaber at this point. So he's completely unarmed. And he's chanceless against the people surrounding him. Whereas Rey, she has a lightsaber, but she's nowhere near him. So what she does is that she force teleports her lightsaber to him. So he's suddenly armed with it. It's really stupid.
You're making my brain hurt.
And it's so contrived. And it's a complete Deus Ex Machina. Like, he's surrounded and he's like thinking, boy, I wish I didn't throw away that lightsaber. Oh, hey, here's a new one. Rey just sent it to me. Awesome. That's exactly how it is. It's stupid, but it was kind of cool. And that's the best thing I can say about the movie. But as I just mentioned then, Kylo Ren, he turns away from the dark side, and he rejects Kylo Ren and becomes Ben Solo again. And if you've seen the spoilers, this happens in a scene which mirrors what happened in The Force Awakens. With Han Solo showing up. So how does Han Solo show up? I'll explain that. He is not a ghost. He is not a Force ghost. He is a figment of Kylo Ren's imagination. He just imagines it. It's a battle of wills. It's a battle of wills within Kylo Ren / Ben Solo. And in this process of convincing himself to turn over to the light side, he imagines his father. That's what it is. That's all there is to it. It's just him thinking back on his father. That's it. There's no bigger mystery. No Force ghost. Nothing. Mystery solved. The figment of his imagination, so to speak.
And the best part is, from the sound of it, from the leaks, and I'm assuming it plays out the same way in the movie, it was just footage from the first movie they used again. I highly even doubt they had Harrison Ford come back.
I think, well, I don't remember how he looked, because he was completely unshaved and everything. If that's how he looked in The Force Awakens, I don't remember now.
He's a little gristly.
Yeah, okay, yeah, then probably it was an alternate take or something.
That's what I was assuming, because, like, yeah, why would you even bother?
Yeah,
if you have it, like,
yeah.
And they probably got the idea from doing the shit what they did with Leia and stuff, and they're like, oh, well, we can do this, and we can pay Harrison Ford just a little bit of money instead of having to pay him to come back, and blah blah blah.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. And that's what I think. And moving on then, now when we have solved the mystery of how Han Solo was in the movie, basically it's a figment of Kylo Ren's imagination, Battle of Wills. Let's move on to Jaybird the Third, who sends us $20. Thank you so much. Here's my Russian bot money for today. I'll tell Vladimir you said hi. So yeah, thanks for viewing this train wreck of a movie for us. Oh, you're most welcome. I'm happy to suffer through it for you. Although I'm not a Star Wars fan at all, I'll do it for you guys.
Thank you all, 3,200. Some of you out there watching right now, please hit that like button and hit the share button and share it on Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff for us. That helps us out a lot.
Yeah, it really does. So we really appreciate any kind of support, and just send in those questions, and we'll do our best to get to yours as well. Moving on. Oh, hey, it's that guy 07 sent us $5 saying, please tell us about the horses on top of Star Destroyers in space. Yes, I will tell you everything there is about the horses on top of the Star Destroyers in space. That's one of the many Deus Ex Machinas in the movie. Because basically what has happened in this scene is that they have stupidly decided to attack Palpatine on the Sith secret home base, where they've built tons and tons and tons of destroyers. And these are super destroyers that have the same destructive capability as a Death Star.
Oh, that was in one of the earliest leaks.
Yeah. And basically, so they go there with the spaceship, and then something, the tech talk, for some reason, they can't attack them in the air or something. They have to do it by foot. And then conveniently, in their storage, they have a bunch of space horses that they ride out on. End of story. That's it. So you see them.
How do they
out.
take care of these and maintain? I'm not even going to ask.
Don't ask. Don't ask. Don't ask. Don't think about it. Focus on the action. That's kind of what they're hoping that you're going to do. It's completely ridiculous sequence. Completely ridiculous.
You know, I mean, sure, George Lucas probably worried a little too much about the intricacies of certain things when it came to the original trilogy, but at least just about every damn thing that was there, it had a history to it. You know, it had a reason and a rhyme for being there.
Okay. The history behind the space horses is that they came out just when they were needed.
Exactly. That's what this whole freaking trilogy has
been.
been.
They were needed was because of the script. They were complete Deus Ex Machina.
Oh, we got the quartering in the chat.
Oh, awesome.
Did you want to join us, quartering?
Yeah, you're welcome to join us.
Send me a DM.
Yeah.
It's, I got you on my Twitter. It's at Thomas Connors Jr., and I'll send you a link if you want to hop in with us.
Yeah, in the meantime, join us if you want. In the meantime, I'll just carry on with some more of the super chats.
Yes, please do.
William Jones has a question for you, Tom. Send us $2. Tom, change your mind on EU as source material.
I never said that was a bad thing to use as source material. I've said many a time that I understand why they didn't. And I've made some arguments to the point where I think that some people believe that the EU is a much bigger thing than it really is, in that respect. But I have nothing personal against the EU. I don't know if anybody's just misinterpreting what I've said, but oh no, I don't hate the EU. Nothing against it. Just never been my thing. Rob and I hate to do homework. So if we have to go to a comic book or a movie to find out what the hell's going on, we consider that homework. Yeah. So.
So there you go. Let's move on. O Phoenix O sent us $1.99. Was it explained how the original cast survived? Well, again, the only one that died was Leia, and she died because script needed her to die because Carrie Fisher is dead. All the others were never in any mortal danger, I think. Well, of course, everyone was, but they were, I don't know, they were fine by the end, I guess. Yeah. That's all I could say about it. They were all fine by the end. None of the OG cast other than Leia died. Was it explained how they survived? I don't know. I didn't see it. It was too much information on the screen at the same time. And Blue Blood 71 sent us all $2 also, asking, the space battle any good? I have a bad feeling. As well you should. In my opinion, the space battles were horrendous. I was completely distracted because they were just Deus Ex Machina. Like here you have all of these piece of crap spaceships from random nobodies that suddenly just conjured to be part of the resistance, and they're able to take down all of the destroyers with Death Star capabilities.
Yeah, there's a bunch of ships in there that are from like Rebels and other shows and stuff, so a bunch of fanboys can squeal for 2 seconds. You know,
probably, but anyway, to me it was completely.
And I'm not saying anything against fanboys who recognize the ships. I'm just talking about how it's pandering to the.
If you recognize the ships, good for you. I have no issue.
No, I have nothing against that, but that's all it was there for. Is it's no different than just holding up a shiny thing in front of a kid's face. You know.
To me, it was again, it's like one of the tricks here with trying to distract you from other things, because the space battle, it was just one Deus Ex Machina after the other. So no, I don't think they were any good. And then someone from close to my neck of the wood, Lars Hansen, sent us 50 Danish krona, saying, here in Denmark, there are plenty empty seats for the Rise of Skywalker. As I said earlier, yes, that's the case here in Norway too. My own screening was completely empty. But keep in mind, in our part of the world, people don't really watch movies at daytime in the weekdays. Let's see this weekend how it turns out then. So I'm not willing to write the movie off completely just yet. But I will say though that when The Force Awakens came out, even the daytime screenings were full. Not in this case. For what that's worth.
Welcome, Rob.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Rob.
Andre. Andre, is it as bad as we thought?
Yes and no.
Okay, well,
That means that Rob didn't watch your review.
Yeah,
I watched.
Oh, you did.
Yeah.
I was.
Yeah,
to those that are joining right now, like Rob, just to give a recap. In my opinion, the movie is a mess, but it's not quite as bad as it could have been. And the biggest problem is that there's just too much story, cramped into too little time to tell that story.
Well, I smell a tie-in comic book, just like they do.
It's funny you just mentioned that because I was just talking about how we hate to do homework.
Yeah. Well, that's the excuse. Like, why? Who is this guy? What? Like, oh well, if you read this tie-in comic book or tie-in novel, that'll explain. Yeah, that information is supposed to be in the film. One line of dialogue would save you the trouble.
But let's move on with the super chats because we have a lot of catching up to do here. So yeah. Moving on. Austin Trench sent us $1.99. Will Star Wars have to be put in ice like Palpy on the big screen? No. No more than any other normal hiatus between movies.
Well, I think they already got a plan, and it just doesn't include. Yeah,
exactly. They already said that we're putting it on a hiatus, and that hiatus just happens to be the same kind of time span, which is normal production cycle between movies. So no, I don't think that it.
All they're putting on hiatus is the spin-off movies or the standalone movies is what's being put on hiatus, basically. And those are just going to Disney Plus, and yeah.
But they have to start over because like it's done. Like the sequel trilogy is a whole bunk. There's very little way forward. In my opinion, they went a huge way towards salvaging the Rey character, but nothing and no one else.
Well, yeah, because she's the bestest ever. I mean, because
she was. That's not the case here.
Oh,
that's the best part. That's the best part of the movie. That's the best part of the movie, and I think that's why the blue check marks on Twitter aren't liking it, because she's no longer the bestest ever. They humanized her.
Even with that,
they gave a reason why she used to be the bestest ever, and it wasn't because she was a woman. So yeah, that alone.
Well, the thing is, you have to retroactively say that, Andre. If this was the actual plan from the start, fine. But that's the problem, is we can't say that.
Yeah, no, we can't. But I'm just saying that this movie went a long way towards fixing things with Rey.
Because I was one of those people early on with The Force Awakens to where I was like, I'm willing to give them a shot to show me something that gives me a reason why Rey knows all these things, or at least is capable of using them, even if she doesn't necessarily remember how she learned them. As long as you can show me at some point, and they failed to do that in The Force Awakens. To me, that was the point to do that. And to do it in the third film where you can't say it was the plan all along is the biggest problem to me. So it's like you can retroactively all day do this shit. Same thing with Palpatine, and and I'm glad you enjoy it or you didn't enjoy it, but what you did enjoy about the film and took away from it's fine. But even those things that you say you enjoy, but I can see why people are just going to hate the hell out of this.
Oh yeah, they're going to hate it. I'm just giving my opinion here. This is my opinion, and everyone else, of course, will have theirs.
I can already hear Rob yelling after the movie's done.
Yeah, I think that I don't think that they will have gone long or far enough in humanizing Rey, but the efforts that were made. They certainly help for me, because she is not the bestest ever in this movie. She's not. With that accounted for, let's move on. JC sent us $5 saying it's Legends knockoff. Kylo Ren equals Jason Solo, Palpatine tried possessing Anakin Solo, only now with Rey. Yes, that's completely true. That's entirely accurate. That was the Emperor's plan A. That was basically for Rey to kill her so that he could be one with the Force and then jump into her body along with all the other Sith. So she would probably be in the driving seat, but he would still be there. That was his plan A. And then the plan B came later, because what happens is that the reason that Rey is super duper powerful and the bestest ever is this extra special edition Force link between her and Kylo Ren. That's what makes her so powerful. And when Palpatine discovers this with the two in front of him, it's like, whoa, this only happens once every few centuries. How lucky for me. I'm going to suck that right out of you. So then he sucks their life force out of them. He sucks this super duper Force link. And remember, at this point, Palpatine, he basically died at the end of Return of the Jedi. So Vader's sacrifice isn't completely undone, because basically he's a corpse held up by machines. But in sucking out their life force, he's restored to life. That's when his eyes grow from corpse white to yellow. It's after he sucks their life force out. And then he's like, oh, I'm not going to die anymore now. Now I'm back at full power. I don't need to die. So that's his plan B. That's what happens then. Yes, you can grow now.
We lost Rob.
It was too much for him.
But it sounds like the quartering might join us in a bit here. Like I said, he just has to send me a message because he doesn't have his messaging open or whatever.
Cool.
But yeah, this is why I told you, Rob, we need to get him new internet. He can't even sustain internet for more than 5 minutes. He's on dial-up.
Oh, we'll fix that. Anyway, Captain Hare sent us another $2 super chat saying, this movie has made Andre prematurely senile. Dude, it's not just me. Anyone trying to retell this movie, this complicated Frankensteinian mess of a movie, is going to appear prematurely senile, in my defense. So, yeah. And Stone Cold 10 times sent us $2 asking, how pointless were the Knights of Ren? Could be replaced by any other stormtroopers. That's how pointless. Mexican Iron Man sent us $4.99 saying, oh my god, we have 2,500 people on the stream, and boy, 250 likes. Please smash the like button, everyone. Right now we actually have more than 3,000.
I was going to say, yeah.
But I echo his sentiment. Smash that like button, everyone, so that we can spoil this to as many as possible, because the likes makes this more visible. Chris Persa sent us $2 Canadian asking, did Han return as a forced ghost? I answered this already, but I'll answer it again to anyone new joining. No, he returned as a figment of Kylo Ren's imagination when he had his battle of wills against his internal dark side versus his internal bright side. So he was just imagining it. Billy the Mac also sent us $5 Canadian asking, so is the hyper jump ramming at least hand waved why Poe didn't end that new Death Star destroyer fleet in seconds? Yeah, about that. The hyper jump ramming, that was completely ridiculized within the movie. And because, as I said in my review, there is no hyper jump ramming of any destroyer, none at all. When they go for the final assault against Palpatine's forces, the Hobbit, the actor from the Lord of the Rings, Monaghan or whatever his name is, yeah, that's the one. He actually suggests, let's do this, the Holdo maneuver, which then is the hyper jump ramming. To which, and then Finn instantly shuts him up, saying that, no, that was a 1 in a million shot. We're not doing that. And then he didn't say it, but he meant it. So let's never talk about that again. So no, that was completely ridiculed. Not done. Matt G sent us $5. Is it objectively worse than other recent septic tank leaks as Dark Phoenix, Fantastic Four reboot, Justice League, Captain Marvel, Discovery, Ghostbusters 2016? It belongs in the same breath as all of them, but there are others in this list which are worse for different reasons. I would compare this with Justice League is the closest comparison, because that's also like a mishmash of different visions and reshoots and everything. So of all the movies you mentioned there, Justice League is the closest comparison. However, this movie is the one that has the most stuff in it. This is the one that sets up so much, with so much exposition. It's in that sense, it's the worst of any of the other recent failures. So more, imagine a mix of the worst of Batman v Superman and Justice League. That's this movie. Mecha Random, hi Mecha, sent us $5 asking, is it better than Star Trek Discovery? Also, how can you spoil something that Ryan already ruined? That's a great question right there. Is it better than Star Trek Discovery? Yes. Yes, it's better than Star Trek Discovery.
That's not a very high bar, Andre.
Yeah, no, I had to stop and think. But I enjoyed this more than I do Star Trek Discovery. I absolutely do.
One answer real quick I've seen a few times in the chat. Is Brie Larson in the movie as Ahsoka?
I didn't notice.
I don't even know if her name was included. I seen the list of returning Jedi, and that's, I believe, how they're actually, I don't remember how they're listed, but Anakin was in there, Mace Windu, Yoda, and a few other ones, but I don't remember seeing, maybe Ahsoka was in there. I gotta look again.
I have to say, though, that it could be that her voice was there. Because there is like the scene where you hear all the Jedi that are channeled through Rey towards the end there, because Palpatine's final defeat doesn't come at the hands of Rey. It really doesn't, or it comes through the hands of Rey, but it's only because she's channeling all the Jedi, and we heard the voices of several of them basically saying that we're here with you, you can do this, blah blah blah. And it's very possible that this Ahsoka, or whatever her name is, that her voice was there among them.
Yeah, the one somebody said it wasn't mentioned in the it was mentioned in the credits. Yeah, so yeah.
But if we saw her in the movie played by Brie Larson, if she was there, she must be hidden in some background or something, because I certainly didn't see her. So I'm not saying that she isn't, but I didn't see her. So if she was, it certainly wasn't in your face enough.
Yeah, Samuel Jackson and a few other ones were listed.
Yeah, him I heard. I recognized him. Like, the only Jedi that I were able to recognize were Samuel L. Jackson and Yoda and Liam Neeson. Forgot this Jedi name right now.
Qui-Gon stinks of gin.
Yeah, that's the one. Speaking of something beginning with K and Y, KY sent us just $5, no question. Thank you so much. And Jay Mitzer, obviously from my neck of the woods, sent us a 20 Norwegian krona saying, I bought the ticket, instant regret, and got a refund. Pretty sure you're not going to be the only one. And Cesaria sent us $5 saying, Jeremy Johns said there was a lot of arguing between Rey, Finn, and Poe. Andre, what did you think of the interaction between them? Completely forced, is what I think. I think that the interaction between Rey, Finn, and Poe was completely ridiculous. Finn was pointless. Poe was a humor sidekick. There was lots of bickering between them, but it didn't feel genuine. It felt very much like acting. The only chemistry in the movie was between Rey and Kylo and Palpatine. But in terms of arguing, yeah, there was arguing between them. But it wasn't like aggressive arguing. It was friendly banter. Friendly banter is what it was. Friendly banter and annoyance, but no actual aggressive arguing. There was none of that. The DCV Titan sent us $5 Canadian, saying, listening to this at work, wondering when the cam will drop, wondering if it's even worth the time. Which cam?
Oh, the cam version.
On the high seas.
On the high seas,
oh, yeah. That cam.
Armady. Yeah,
that cam on the high seats. Oh, yeah, obviously.
I have a feeling it won't be long.
I think
hoist that salty dog from the nearest yardarm.
Yeah, no, you give it till the next.
I've already seen scenes online, so
yeah, it won't be long. It won't be long.
They're Vikings. Were there any Norwegian pirates? Probably.
Well, there's Captain Sableton or Captain Sabretooth, but I guess if you include the Vikings, that would be the closest ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Topic for another time.
And the DCV Titan also sent us another $5 Canadian, saying the point of the story was to ass ram the franchise and let everything get stolen by a Mary Sue. That's what we're left with. In the end of this trilogy, there is only one character that you can go forward with, and that is Rey. But in my opinion, the one thing that movie did right is that it humanized her, and she's no longer quite the Mary Sue she once was.
Oh, I've been blocked. I've been blocked by Erin Carson from CNET because she's saying that oh well, we all please just not lose our minds over the rise of Skywalker. And I told her after 2 years of the Access Media calling everybody an ist and phobe and every name of the book, now you're saying everybody calm down. I said, are you serious? I threw an F word in there, but this is a family show.
I actually didn't like that. The truth hurts, doesn't it?
Yeah, the truth does hurt. Too bad, Toots.
Yeah. Should have said that too. Of course, then you might get the police at the door or something. But yeah.
Hey, which one of you cuties wants to come home, make me a sandwich, give me a nice blowjob?
Anyway, before Rob gets to Me Too'd here, let's move on with Gerald Armstrong sending us $2.99. Luke wakes up and says, "What a bad dream, salvaged." I agree completely. That should have been the intro sequence. Sadly, that's not the direction that they went. So, yeah, they tried to fix it and they tried to incorporate The Last Jedi, and that is why we have the mess that we have right now. Simple as that. Yeah, let's see where we are. The next one is shall we see? Kaio what sent us 2,500 Chilean pesos, I think it is. Who the heck would have thought that in 2019 the Sonic the Hedgehog movie would have a better reputation pre-release than the final Star Wars episode? He's right. Isn't that something? I mean, if you take a poll of people right now, like people on our circle on the internet on YouTube, how many are more interested in Sonic the Hedgehog than Star Wars? I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I was much more excited about seeing that.
I mean, as far as like the fan, I mean the fan base is a much different size, but I mean as far as like the fan goodwill, oh yeah. People are more on board with Sonic, and I think more people will go because they listen to the fans simply than they would have before.
Anyway, moving on. Charles Klimoshin sent us $4.99 asking, "Now I'm feeling bad for JJ having to clean up Ryan's mess. I'm thinking of actually seeing the movie. Talk me out of it, please." You know what? I'm not.
It'll be on video in March.
Yeah, you can see it later if you.
I'm not kidding. They already announced it.
Yeah,
go see.
Yeah, but I agree. I feel bad for JJ over this too. And however bad a mess the movie is, I don't hold it too much against him. Like, no one could have made a good movie out of the situation that
Yeah.
there was here after the corner they were painted into.
JJ was dealt a bad hand. I mean, like I said, Ryan Johnson left him nothing to work with. He did the best he could, and unfortunately, finishing things isn't a strong suit.
But even if you find someone who's great at finishing things, they would have struggled with this man. They really would. Like, you could have the best filmmakers on planet Earth. You could reincarnate the greatest cinema makers of the 20th century, and they'd all freaking struggle with getting out of the corner that Ryan Johnson painted them into. So yeah, I do feel for JJ on this one, and he did his best. Was it good enough? Probably not, but could anyone have done better? Yeah, probably better. Could they have done much better? That I doubt. And then Joe Solo sent us $2 saying Finn should have been a Jedi. Well, he isn't, and he's never going to be. He's completely wasted in this movie, like everyone else who isn't Rey and Palpatine and Solo. Or Kylo, yeah. Vince Manor sent us $10 for all the entertainment and reviews over the years. Best genre channel on YouTube. Well, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And here's one that you'll empathize with, Rob. Connection lost. We have to get new internet. Sent us $5 saying, remember when Luke kissing Leia was the biggest cringe moment in Star Wars? Respect to KK. It takes special talent to accomplish total ruination. Yeah, she absolutely did that. Complete ruination. John Apocalypse sent us £1.99 British pounds. Box office predictions. I don't see it making 1 billion. I agree. I think it's increasingly unlikely that this movie is not going to make it to 1 billion. Of course it could, but I think it's a very good chance that it's going to peter out at 800-900 something, because it's just not going to get the repeat viewings to get there. I don't think so.
Okay, the voices of Jedi past are Anakin Skywalker, Luminal Undul, Ahsoka Tana, Isla Secure, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Yoda. So for those who are wondering, that's the voices of Jedi past. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is listed as both Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness, just so you know.
Yeah, well, there we go.
What are you doing here? I thought I was Obi-Wan. Yeah.
No, I am in this movie.
Sawed off, I'm Obi-Wan.
No, it's me.
All right, we'll both be Obi-Wan.
Okay.
And moving on, we have from my own country, the Andreas sends us 55 krona, and he asks, André, det verdt å gå og se filmen bare på grunnlag av effektene? Meaning, Andre, is it worth seeing the movie only because of these special effects? Hell no. Hell no, it's not. If special effects are what you are interested in, well, I guess it depends on what kind of special effects that you like to see. If you just like to see loads of CGI explosions and spaceships and shit just that are just there on the screen, then yes, absolutely, go for it. But if you want some kind of meaning or point or rationale behind it, then no. The effects do not make this movie worth seeing. It's a stunning lack of impressive visuals in it. There are like some cool sets and everything, and the CGI is fine and everything, but on the whole, no, it's not worth it for the special effects. I don't think so. The Mexican Iron Man, he's disappointed in me. He sent us $4.99. I'm getting totally sick hearing my hero Andre tell me The Rise of Skywalker is a better movie than The Last Jedi, and that The Last Jedi was an easier to follow movie, I'm nauseous. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but it's the truth. That's exactly how it is. The Force Awakens left the canvas wide open for the next filmmaker to do pretty much anything. They could go in so many different directions. And the direction that Rian Johnson chose to take with The Last Jedi closed all the doors for the next filmmaker. It painted him into this tiny little corner because he basically ended the trilogy, killed off Snoke, killed off Luke. Oh, but he left the one character where the actress is actually dead. Oh, that character he left alive. My God. I don't think anyone has done anything so cruel to a fellow filmmaker as Rian Johnson did in his release version of The Last Jedi. And I'm surprised that Kathleen Kennedy approved it. I mean, my God, did anyone think there's another movie that's supposed to come afterwards? Jesus Christ. Jesus, tap dancing Christ. Boggles the mind. Yeah, that's rant out of the. My God, this thing even makes me ranting.
Just because
I'm enjoying
The Last Jedi is easier to follow doesn't mean it's a better film. That's the thing. And that's the thing you have to.
Well, and I kind of asked this of Andre, kind of. I already tongue in cheek already knew the answer, but it was like, which one was a better film? He's like, you can't really justify putting the two together because The Rise of Skywalker is a direct result of The Last Jedi, and not in the way a normal film would be a sequel, but because of The Last Jedi, this movie has so many shortcomings, basically. Yeah, so it's like like passing on a virus to a child.
Yeah, that's what I want everyone to keep in mind. Rise of Skywalker isn't a failure on its own accord. It's a failure because of The Last Jedi. That's the reason. The reason this movie is a mess is because of Rian Johnson.
Yeah,
it's that simple. And people are gonna lash out at this movie, but everyone should lash out at The Last Jedi because this movie is bad because of The Last Jedi. Were it not for The Last Jedi, we would be in a far better situation right now.
I like this. Sincast says, it's so weird hearing Andre be the guy ranting of the three here. I know, right? He's usually not the one ranting.
Spending too much time around me here.
I've been spending too much time watching Star Wars.
Now you understand.
Yeah, evidently brings out the toxicity in people.
KK and Bob Iger are definitely to blame, but Rian Johnson overall is the reason. And of course, KK was the one who let it happen.
Yeah. So. If I were to blame them in order, I would say the first and foremost, the one to blame is Kathleen Kennedy, because she's the one with the absolute power that should have stopped this. She should have stopped Rian Johnson, but she didn't because she loved his political ideology, so she let him do what he wanted. And the second to blame is Rian Johnson. I mean, the only reason that he isn't number one is because Kathleen Kennedy should have stopped him, and she didn't. Well, yeah. He wanted to do his vision, and he did it. A really selfish thing to do, but that's what he did. And only number third is Bob Iger. That's because Kathleen Kennedy was supposed to look after this shit, so he didn't have to.
Everybody, the one person, and like I always say, we admire, we respect Robert Meyer Burnett to no end. However, we have to disagree with him on Kathleen Kennedy's acumen as a producer, because the films that she's produced, anybody could have produced them and they would have been hits. And she has proven now, beyond the shadow of a doubt, she is not fit to run a studio on a creative level. Yeah, and right now, I mean,
and it has nothing to do with her sex either. It just has to do with the simple fact that she's the luckiest human being alive. next to anybody who's maybe won the lottery like 10 times.
Because
her whole life she's had everything pretty much handed to her. She's been at the right places in the right times. And to back up what Rob's saying is anybody could have produced those movies. At the time she got involved with Spielberg, he had already been on the map. He'd already had like 3 of the biggest movies of all time, basically. So, or at least 2. I mean, because she did work on Raiders of the Lost Ark, but she wasn't a producer. I think she was just an executive.
Spielberg had made Jaws. He had made Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He had made Raiders of the Lost Ark. Was there something in between? Am I forgetting?
Well, like I said, I think she executive produced Raiders of the Lost Ark. He did make 1949, and I don't know if she worked on that. But
1949, that's the forgotten year of the war.
Yeah, that's the movie that nobody wants to remember that he made, basically. But yeah, I mean, so anybody could have been Spielberg's producer at the point and gotten shit done and been a great producer because all they had to do is say, yeah, I'm Steven Spielberg's producer. The guy who made Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Indiana Jones, sure, we'll get that done for you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not that hard. E.T. was, another one at that time, too, was right after that. And,
anyway, none of that detracts from her.
Or 1941, not 1949. I'm sorry. Thank you, Ethan.
But she should never have been. She should never have been made head of this.
No, I don't know what George Lucas was thinking. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking there. I mean, I guess on paper she looks like the perfect choice.
I have a theory. I think there's 2 things to it. One is that he could have appointed Dave Filoni. But Dave Filoni would have been rejected by Disney. They would have blocked that. They would have been like, okay, now that the deal is through, we're gonna lose him, and we're gonna put in one of our own people, because he doesn't have the power and the clout in Hollywood that he could fight that. But by appointing Kathleen Kennedy, he knows that she is so powerful. She has such connections that she is unfireable. If he installs her, there's nothing Disney can do about it. The problem that he made was in thinking that she was going to protect his vision, which obviously she wasn't going to. But he didn't know that. And I think I'm not only guessing now, but I'm guessing that he's a poor judge of character. And
he never really worked with her much.
Yeah.
He trusted her. He trusted her and wrongly so.
He trusted the wrong person, and everything went wrong from there.
And she had the knife behind her back, ready to plunge it between the shoulder blades.
Let me put it this way:
figuratively.
I read his book. I've read Bob Iger's book. Between those 2, and what I've gotten from the whole situation was basically she used the clout that Andre's talking about to stab George in the back, and George thought she was going to use that clout to protect him.
Yeah,
and it was kind of like, so basically, she's the real. Because she could have stood up to Bob Iger.
She's a real Palpatine.
Yeah, she could have stood up to Bob Iger and said, no. George said this is where it should go. We should respect that. Of course we need to bring on new writers. Nobody's arguing that point, Bob. But how can you not go forward without, respecting the vision of the man who made Star Wars? That's all the argument she would have had to make. And she was Kathleen Kennedy. She was strong enough in Hollywood to be able to make that argument. Because you know what would have happened if Bob Iger would have said no? She could have went to every major fucking paper and said, this is what Disney's doing to Star Wars, and she would have had every one of us on her side championing outside, protesting Disney. But no, she went along with it.
It was,
and JJ was her man.
It was more important for her little agenda. It was more important for her, I need strong female characters, and in the process, they made every single female character a stand-in for herself.
And it should have been something in the middle, because I understand where Bob Iger's coming from as a businessman. A lot of people forget how big of a fucking clusterfuck the prequels were.
When did she say, because when I did a few years ago, I did Summer Movie Spectacular on my own channel with Jake and another guy. And Jake had said, Disney bought Star Wars and Marvel because they needed something that boys liked. They needed that demographic because they lose boys at around age 9 as an audience because they don't want to watch the princess movie.
And they got a taste of the boys' business with some of the Pixar movies with Cars and things like. Because Cars that's why there's 3 Cars movies, guys.
Yeah.
Cars sells a lot of fucking merchandise.
Oh yeah, Cars does $4 billion of merchandise a year. I mean, you kidding me? Or whatever it is. But anyway, the point I was making was that there is a fundamental misunderstanding on her part, or maybe this is what her agenda was from the beginning. She comes out and she says in an interview, we need more girls to like Star Wars. I'm like, no, you're not getting what the core audience is. You're abandoning the core. And I said this last night. I said the whole idea is that this mythical audience, and we talk about this mythical audience all the time, Andre, that they think is going to show up, that waits in line for iPhones overnight and shops at Whole Foods, is going to show up and say, oh, this agenda, this political agenda is in these movies. I should like this. No, the whole thing is these movies are like your father taking you to a baseball game, or in Europe, your father taking you to a soccer game, or whatever, taking you fishing. It's passed down from father to son, from parent to child. That's how you get the next generation. You don't get them by trying to appeal to this mythical millennial audience that doesn't show up. It's been proven they don't show up. This is insanity. You're trying the same thing over and over again, and it's not working. Finally, are you getting the message now? When this movie loses $500 million, which I hope it does, will you finally get the message?
I think so.
Well, I got to address this. There's a few people who are upset. This is what I mean by the prequels were a clusterfuck. You can love them, you can hate them. That's between you and the movies. That has nothing to do with how they were perceived by the general public at the time, how they were perceived by Hollywood, and how they were being perceived when it came to Star Wars being bought by Disney. Because if you read any of the books, George and Bob's books, and do any amount of research, The Phantom Menace had such an uproar after it that they had a shit ton of toys that collected dust on shelves, just like they do now with the new shit, to the point where when Attack of the Clones came around, they didn't have hardly any merchandise because nobody wanted to make it. They didn't want to get stuck with a bunch of merchandise. And it basically went through, and then Revenge of the Sith was kind of like the critics and the fans were kind of in agreement on that one. That's the only one of the prequels where everything was decent. But when Disney came along and wanted to buy this thing, George Lucas wanted way too much money up front. That was a big problem. And that was because the prequels were such a problem in Hollywood. Nobody wanted to really make the movies with him. That was the whole thing, was like nobody wanted to make any more Star Wars movies with George Lucas involved because of how the prequels had turned out. George Lucas even left the internet because of the prequels, because of the fan backlash. So, I mean, they were a big clusterfuck in so many different levels as far as the production and what they did for the Star Wars brand. Now, you want to compare it to Star Wars, totally different scenario. I mean, you don't have George Lucas involved, so he was the singular visionary when it came to Star Wars. It's so much easier to look at it in a different light when you don't have him involved, because it's easy to say, well, of course you don't have George Lucas, so, well, that's what's wrong. Well, I mean, there's a lot of other factors that go into that too, though. But as I was saying, though, Kathleen Kennedy was the one who was supposed to fight for his vision, and she didn't.
What's going to be the excuse now? I mean, they got to be in damage control mode.
Well, they were before this movie even came out.
Oh, it's going to be even worse now afterwards. But we'll deal with that afterwards, because we have loads of more super chats to go through. With so much questions and everything. So I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunity to discuss the fallout as it happens. Again, the movie hasn't even opened in the States yet. And yet here we are. So yeah, anyway, moving on. The Fessman93 sent us £2 saying Kathleen Kennedy needs to go. Without respect, we reject. It's going to be fun to see how the box office works out the next couple of weeks. Vincent207 sent us $4.99. I only have one important question. Does Palpatine have any meme-worthy lines? Let's see.
Something.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does, but I don't remember them right now.
We know what he does. He's like, I'm going to Skype from the toilet. Everybody be quiet. I am alive, send.
Yeah, the funny thing is that the whole movie is...
What's my Wi-Fi password?
You're probably not wrong, because like the whole movie was like with him broadcasting, so basically like, he's blogging something.
Well, that's what I was saying when you said that in the beginning. It's like I can picture him just sitting there like feeling cute today. Think I'll take over the galaxy. Smiley face. LOL.
Yeah, something like that. I'm sure there are some meme-worthy lines, but I don't remember them. There were none that really stuck out to me. At least there's none right now in this moment. NJ Scoundrel sent us $10. What's NJ? Is it New Jersey, maybe? New Jersey Scoundrel, or is it something else? Sorry, anyway, never mind. The fix. Raylo both killed confronting Palps, then flashback through episodes 9, 8, and 7 to Luke awakens from a Force vision right before he confronts Kylo. Luke trains Kylo, Rey, and they all confront Palps. Yes, I agree completely. That's also a way of doing it. Like, you have to do this with some kind of way of undoing everything. You either need to get in Thanos to snap his fingers and make everything okay again, or something. Like, it was all a Force vision. Because what they tried to do is they just tried to, like, rush over it, and they were able to salvage Rey, but no one else. Everything else is gone. We never got our reunion of the OG characters. Han is still a loser. Luke is still a super loser, even though he regrets it now from the afterlife. So, yeah.
I want to ask you,
yeah,
Andre,
sure,
about
go for it.
Does Kylo on the spoiler territory? Everybody, does Kylo on the brink of death have a vision of his dead father Han?
No, not on the brink of his death.
No, we've touched on this.
We
Yeah.
touched on it before, but I can, for anyone that might be joining, let's say it one more time. There is a vision of his father, of Han Solo. He is in the movie,
Okay,
but it's just a figment of his imagination. What happens is that this is the moment where the good side and the bad side of Ben Solo, namely Ben Solo and Kylo Ren, are battling each other. It's a battle of wills. And when that happens is when he sees Han Solo in a scene which mirrors the scene in which he killed his father in The Force Awakens. But of course, this time it ends differently. But it's just something, it's a vision. It's a figment of his imagination. Han Solo is still dead, and the last thing he experienced was his son killing him. So there's no redemption or anything like that. Han still died feeling a loser, surprised, hurt, and in misery. This doesn't change anything.
okay.
Yeah, that probably wasn't the answer you were looking for, but that's how it is. Moving on, the Casual Gamer sent us $2 Canadian saying, "Sorry, Andre, Norway is an awful civ in Civ 6. Oh, sorry about that. I don't know what else to say. The DCV Titan sent us $2 Canadian. Insurgency or a single terrorist cell. You know what? I agree. This isn't any resistance. It's an insurgency because there's hardly anyone left. Like that's a movie. At the end of The Last Jedi, is just a single terrorist cell left. And there's more of them when this movie begins, and when it ends, they have spawned suddenly thousands of people friendly to the insurgency out of the blue. That comes just when the plot needs them to come. So, yeah, that was the worst part of the movie for. Plenty of Canadians here today because the big red bear. Oh, we think that you were Russian. Anyway, sends us $5 Canadian saying, "It's always so ridiculous to me that people think they make 1 billion at the theater, so they take home $1 billion. No, they get 50% usually. Well, usually they get a little bit more than 50% depending on.
But that goes back to when I was talking about it.
Yeah. But on this case, they're not even going to get 50% of $1 billion because of the massive cost involved in making this one. ActionCom sent us $2. Should they have went ahead and let Ryan finish? I guess he means finish it. I think that Ryan already was finished. He went in and he closed the trilogy. That's what he did. That's what The Last Jedi was. It was his end to the trilogy.
Yeah,
Not
it
one
makes me
to the
wonder
left.
if anybody told him if there was going to be another movie after this or what the deal was. It was like,
So yeah, they already let him finish it. That's the problem. That's why we're here. That's all I have to say about that.
Eric
That's
Morton wants to know if the Knights of Ren do anything. I think we asked this earlier. I think all they really do is end up kidnapping Chewie, don't they? And that was in the leaks anyway.
Oh yeah, that was the Knights of Ren. Yes, yeah, they do that. I didn't even recognize them. They're painted black this time. Yeah. So they do that. So they do something, but it's never pointed out that they're the Knights of the Ren, and they don't have the cool red uniforms that they had in The Last Jedi. I like those uniforms. They don't have them here. Here, are like black stormtroopers. But yeah, they do that. They do that, and they surround Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo as he is at the time, and it looks like he's done for before Rey Force teleports a lightsaber to him. That's very convenient, but that's how it is.
And of course, they're asking now why Chewie was kidnapped in the chat. It was in the leaks, but if you want to answer that real quick.
Because he was there. Because they go to this planet that looks a whole lot like Namibia or some African place, and they go there looking for one of the Sith GPS units that take them to that planet, Exegol or Smegol or whatever the hell it was. And while they're looking for that, then Rey sees like the Kylo Ren's cruiser coming in the distance. This is the scene from the trailer. And while she's occupied with that, then the Knights of Ren come and they attack the rest, and they take Chewie, probably because he's the biggest and the most visible. But we actually don't see them take him. We see that they've already taken him.
Yeah, and then some people are asking about 3PO. He lives, but and I assume R2D2 restores his memory because it was in the leaks.
That is correct. That is correct.
Now, when he restores his memory, does he just restore his memory of the last few films, or does he restore his memory all the way back to the beginning?
We'll get to it. What happens is that that he reads the Sith dagger, and this Sith dagger contains the instructions on how to find the Sith GPS. So you have a MacGuffin to find another MacGuffin that's going to take them to the location. That's what the Sith dagger is. And the Sith dagger is written in the Sith language. So in order to read, so C-3PO, he can read it, but he can't say what it says because that's against his programming. And the only way to get by that is basically to short circuit his memory and reset him to factory settings, essentially killing him. That's what the red eyes are. It's not him going evil. That's him being reset to.
So he's an Xbox that went and had the red eye of death or whatever it is.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. But this is also said though that every once in a while R2D2 will back up his memory. How convenient. Many such conveniences in the movie. So the next time he meets up with R2D2, and then he introduces himself, and he says that, "Hi, my name is C-3PO. Good to meet you." And then it's like, and R2D2 is like, "What the hell are you talking about? You're my best friend." It's like, "We've never met before." It's like, "Oh, okay, I want to restore your memory." And then he restores his memory, but only from the last time a dump was taken. And we don't know exactly at which point that was, but obviously it was before The Force Awakens, because he now sees all of these characters for the very first time. So he's like introducing himself to Finn and to Poe, and they treat him like shit. And he's like, "Well, how rude! We just met." But they treat him like shit the whole movie. I was actually a little bit offended by it. Because C-3PO, he's like so kind, and he calls them his friends and everything, and they don't give a shit about him. Like they treat him like garbage, absolute garbage. So like before he is like reset to factory settings, he wants to have a look at his friends one last time. And I'm like, dude, these aren't your friends. They don't
That's
care
what
if
everybody's
you
been
live or
saying.
die.
Yeah. So that scene is in context in the trailer, huh?
Yeah, it is in contact. It's not in contact. There's no friendship there because
Well,
he's
no, I
there
mean,
with-
everybody's like, oh, he's probably talking to something. Yeah, no, we were all saying all along. Yeah.
He's talking to Finn and he's talking to Poe, and none of them give a shit about him. Like they
I was
treat
curious
him
if he had
the
his
whole time.
memory. I figured they'd have a little poke at us and have his memory restored all the way back to the Phantom Menace. That's what I was figuring. That's what I was asking. But they didn't
We
give
don't
you
know.
that
We
inclination.
don't know
Yeah.
what's the last thing that he remembers. We know that he remembers R2-D2, but he doesn't remember anything from the Force Awakens.
I just
So
thought it'd be that's just me thinking. See, here's where I would probably have thrown a little throwback in there like that if that was up to me. Because remember in episode 3 when he goes, "Have my memory erased," and he gets all freaked out or whatever, and R2 goes, "Beep beep 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 boop." It could have been some moment. It would have been funny just to kind of have it a throwback to see not only did R2 restore his memory back to, the beginning of the Star Wars films, but all the way back through the prequels. I thought would have been
I
kind of
agree
at
that
least.
would have been amazing. But the problem with that is that would have been a little bit more story to put into the movie that's already too packed with it.
God forbid they give us, background on characters we actually like.
Give us something that we actually want to see. So
I could just imagine at that point R2 saying, "Oh, just shut up, I got your memory on back," or something like that. Because those two, I love their relationship, and that was one thing I really hated about these movies was their relationship was completely tossed to the side, and that's what one of the gripes I had with the prequels was we never really got to see their relationship blossom per se because they're just kind of tossed together at the end of episode 3, and then I guess you can kind of go with okay, well his memory's erased, so then from that moment on, that's the first time he meets R2 anyway. So
Aether Prime had a great comment. I wish I could forget the Force Awakens.
But that was the thing that
Yeah,
bothered
you're
me
right.
because
I
even
can't-
Lucas, just to finish my point, sorry,
Yeah.
he goes, even Lucas was always saying, that those two were supposed to be the ones to take us through all these movies, and that wasn't even true of his prequels. Sorry, I wanted to finish that. My bad.
Yeah, no, that's quite all right. But that actually annoyed me, and I understand that the actor, playing C-3PO for Anthony Daniels, is that his name? That he's unhappy with the movie because his character was treated like shit. And then literally treated like shit by the other characters in the movie. The ones he called his friends. My God, I treat my freaking alarm clock better. Even when I wake up angry in the morning. So yeah.
There's a little disagreement in the chat. Was there the yellow lightsaber or no?
That Rey has?
Yes.
Yes, there's a yellow-orange lightsaber.
Okay.
There is. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
So towards the very end of the movie.
All right. Yeah, because there was something in the leaks about the lightsabers now goes by they're mood lightsabers.
No. She's made one. It's not really quite clear exactly what this lightsaber is from the movie because what she does is that she has the lightsaber of just to get into that for a moment. She has the lightsaber belonging to, I think it would have been Luke's lightsaber and Leia's lightsaber because she's a legit Jedi. Luke trained her. We get like a flashback to that with the CGI augmented young Luke and young Leia. And then she has a force vision that her son is going to go bad one day. And then she stops her training and she gives.
Okay, so in the flashback,
Luke
who's playing Leia?
Oh Lord!
It's a CGI. It's like a CGI.
It's CGI, but yeah, I thought we weren't going to get any CGI Leia. They fucking lied. Well, JJ always lies.
We got young CGI Leia.
It still doesn't.
In Rogue One, that's what we get here. So we get young CGI Luke and we get young CGI Leia in a flashback sequence, where with him training her, and then she has a vision that her son is gonna go evil, and she gives her lightsaber to Luke so that he has it all along, and he had it hidden on that desolate Porg planet, so that when Rey comes back to it, Luke's Force Ghost can point out, look over there, that's where I hid Leia's lightsaber. It was there the whole time. And then she has both of them, and she uses both of them over the course of the movie. And then towards the end of the movie, she goes back to Naboo, of all fucking places. The place that Luke Skywalker left from. The shithole that he didn't want anything to do with, and that Leia had nothing to do with. She went back there and she buried their lightsabers and force buried them under the ground, and then she took up her own orange lightsaber, which looked really shoddily made, if you ask me. So that's something of her own making. I don't know the significance of that, but yes, there's an orange lightsaber in the movie towards the end of it. So that's Rey's lightsaber, the one that she takes with her at the end of the movie, where she buries the other ones. Did I blow your mind enough yet, or
No,
I'm just bathing in the stupidity, and I had to share not some kid's art of the yellow lightsaber, of course.
Yeah. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, let's move on with some super chats, because we got plenty more to go.
I see somebody's like the Ahsoka thing. Her voice is in there for a few seconds, and that's it.
Yeah, I didn't see Brie Larson. Maybe she's in the movie. I'm not saying that she isn't, but then she's so well hidden that
nobody has said she is other than outside of that, so I'm assuming she's not. Yeah, there's just people who've been asking, and then they're also asking, is her yellow lightsaber double bladed because she makes it out of her staff, doesn't she?
No, she does. It's news to me.
It looks like it.
Oh, maybe it is. I didn't notice. I only saw like one side, but that could be like me being exhausted by it then and just wanting to get out. But as far as I saw, it was one blade, and maybe it's made from her staff. If it is, it wasn't clear enough that I picked it up. But this is the kind of movie that you kind of have to see 2 or 3 times, I think, just to get everything, because there's so much to unravel.
For God's sake.
Boy,
anyway, moving on. The Fessman 93 sent us another £5 saying Robot Chicken did a better of showing Palps as a Force ghost compared to JJ. Read that one more. Robot Chicken did a better job of showing Palps as a Force ghost. Well, Palpatine is not really a Force ghost. He's a physically back, but he's barely alive. Like, he's basically just a corpse that's hanging and kept breathing by machinery. So he's not the forced ghost in the movie. And then moving on, let's see. Alfonso Ontiveros sends us 50 Mexican. Is it Mexican pesos?
Yeah.
Mexican peso, yeah. Mexican pesos. Last Jedi equals Batman v Superman. Rise of Skywalker equals Justice League. Solo equals Suicide Squad. All I get from this is that Disney did Warner Bros. You are so right. That's one point that I'm going to be making in a future post-mortem or something. What's so frustrating here is that under the Disney umbrella, you have Marvel that has perfected the cinematic universe model. You just have to look at Marvel and do what they do. And Star Wars is one of the few properties that you can do it with. And then, of course, you had over on the other side of town, over at Warner and DC, what they did, they had like this stupid notion that we're going to make a cinematic universe, but we're going to give all the directors freedom to make the movies that they want. And of course, then you can't have the cinematic universe. You can have filmmaker freedom, or you can have cinematic universe. You can't have both. And that's what Lucasfilm went with. They went with the DC way of making a cinematic universe, and it already failed at DC, and now it's failed over at Lucasfilm. So yes, that's a completely accurate comparison. And then AL3891 sent us 20 Swedish krona asking, what was the mood in the theater like? There was none, because we were hardly any people there. We were just a bunch of random scattered strangers watching a movie, and I heard no responses. I heard no laughter or anything. There was, if anything, there was more response at the trailer for Top Gun Maverick before the movie than there was at any time during the movie itself. But it should be said though that you need kind of like a minimum critical mass of audience for there to kind of like be an atmosphere, and this movie didn't have that. So yeah.
Oh Lord.
I feel the need for speed. You're still saying that old line? No, I really need speed. I'm 60 years old and I'm trying to play a 30-year-old.
I have to see the original Top Gun one day, I think.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I have it on 3D because they converted it to 3D. But yeah, it never clicked with me when I was a kid, and I don't know if it will now. All I remember from it is the very gay volleyball scene. And the scene where the one dude dies. That's like it.
No, then you remember more because you've even
I remember the video for Danger Zone better than I do that movie. And Take My Breath Away. Those two videos I do better than yeah.
Yeah, Danger Zone at least was a cool song, which is more I can say for Take Your Breath Away, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, Evan Cooper sent us 5 New Zealand dollars. Web considering return on investments. When is what you mean to say. When considering return on investments, you need to consider cost of capital, i.e. 4 billion in 2011 is 6 billion today if you invest in shares. Yes, this is true. You need to consider the concept of alternative cost. And the alternative cost of making the Star Wars movies is not going to make for a very favorable equation, let's say that. Matros sent us 50 Swedish krona. Please, Swedish watching tonight. Heja Sverige! Disney can get 5%. Oh, many financial people as well. Disney can get 5% return on investment a year on 4.2 billion. It becomes approximately 6 billion after 10 years. They are chasing 6 billion plus production/marketing for it to be a worthwhile investment. Yes, again, it's pretty high risk basically. It's high risk, high reward. If it really clicks like Avatar, then oh my God, you're gonna make hundreds of millions in pure profit. In our currency, billions. But if it doesn't work, you'll see similar losses, and that's what I think they're going to do with this movie. Anything to say about that, guys?
No, not offhand.
Yeah.
Not really. No.
More super chat. What were you say, Rob?
Yeah.
So not really. No.
Yeah. Quigon. I'm not quite sure how to say that, but he sent us. I don't know. Could it be Indian rands? I'm not sure. INR 40. I think it's 40 Indian rands. What was Rose Tico's role? And did Anakin return? Let's deal with the 2 questions one at a time. Rose Tico's role, was that of a background extra? That was her role. She was there. She appeared on screen a few times. She had a really brief, really awkward dialogue with Finn, whom she Me Too'd in the earlier movie. It obviously wasn't reciprocated. So, or return the favors. There's nothing between them in this movie right here. So I think she must be feeling a little bit shameful about the whole thing. But really, her role is being there. She's completely unimportant to the story. Completely unimportant. Did Anakin return? No, he did not. We do not see him on screen. So those scenes, he did return for reshoots, but he was in another cut that they didn't go with. So he is not.
His voice is in the movie, though.
Of the movie. His voice is in this movie.
And so is Vader, but nobody can explain that to me, how he can be both Vader and
I have a theory on that. What I think is that when you're hearing Anakin, then you're genuinely hearing Anakin's Force ghost. Whereas all of the voices that Palpatine makes Kylo Ren hear are manipulated by his making. That's my take on it. I don't know if that's accurate.
Okay then.
But that's the best I can make out of it. And then we've gotten to the Quartering, who sent us $5 saying,
I still haven't heard
"Good
from him
Star
yet.
Wars."
So.
Thanks, Jeremy. You're welcome to join us anytime if you're still out there. And then Holding Out for a Hero Girl sent us €5. Can you please slow down the chat so that one can still read it? Actually, we have no control over that.
No, we don't. But there is some settings you can go to. You can either go to top chat, which will show, I think, just people who have like higher levels of like subscribers, I think is how it works. And then otherwise you can there's in your settings, I think you can put on what's called slow chat, if I remember where it is. I couldn't remember exactly how to get to it, but I'm sure it's not too hard to find.
And then Sotsi sent us $5 asking, but how do they breathe in space when riding horses? Don't ask such difficult questions. Stop thinking.
Goodbye, space
Just enjoy the action. That's not going to be J.J. Abrams' answer. Look at the pretty colors and explosions. Don't think like that. And then our good friend Troy Tempest sent us $5 saying, "Good morning, fellas. How was Palpatine in the movie? Hail Tom. Hail Andre." And
Hail.
just from me, hail Rob, because you probably weren't here when this was sent.
Hail.
Palpatine, he was fine. He was fine. Palpatine was fine. Palpatine, as the movie begins, he is basically just a corpse who is hanging from this life supporting equipment. He has like cables and everything stuck into him that controls his blood flow and everything like that. So he's basically a corpse. Like, he's obviously blind because his eyes are completely white. And he's still talking though, but he's kept alive by the machines. And his goal in the movie is that he wants Rey to come to him, and he wants her to kill him so that he can be one with the Force, and then he can be, along with all the other Sith, then he now suddenly can do like the Jedi and reincarnate into her. So apparently all the Sith are inside of him, and then he's going to be among all the Sith to inhabit her. That's his goal. That's his plan A. But that's only until he discovers the super duper Force connection between Kylo and Rey. And then when he steals that, then he is restored to life. He comes to life again. His eyes goes yellow and everything. And then he decides that, you know what? Fuck my original plan. Now I'm alive again. I don't need you. And then he wants to kill them both. So not much family love there. And then Point of Personal Privilege. My God, that's a great screen name. Kudos for that. I know exactly where you've gotten that from. Oh my God, how was that video? Anyway, $4.99 he sent, and he says, "Did Rose Tico release the space horses at the end and say now it's worth it?" I don't think so. If she did, I don't remember. I'm not saying that she didn't, but I don't remember. But that could be because it was just so much information overload going on at that time that I might have missed it. I think that she was there, so she might have. But really, she's just there in the background. So yeah.
Goodbye, Sporces.
Sent us $5.
Wow.
The cheesy Raylo kiss scene. Please describe, LOL. How did Kylo die? Turned into a Force ghost. Okay, the cheesy Raylo kiss scene. What basically happens is that after the Emperor has sucked the life force out of both of them, he sucked more out of Rey, so she dies. But Kylo has a little bit left in him, so he is still alive. And what he does is that he transfers his life force to her so that she wakes up again. And then they look at each other and they kiss before he dies. It's really, really overrated. It's not. I don't think it was that awkward. It isn't long. There's no blaring music, at least not that I remembered. And if he turns into a Force ghost, I don't remember. I'm sorry. I was so information overload again. I don't remember if he turned into a Force ghost or if his dead body was just there on the ground. I know that that Leia turned into no. There were two people in the movie that turned into Force ghosts. Two in the movie became Force ghosts. Leia was one. I think he did become a Force ghost. I think he must have been the other that turned into a Force ghost. Yeah, I think he did. I think he turned into a Force ghost that he just disappeared. Don't shoot me if I'm wrong, but I think he did. Because that happened 2 times in the movie. And,
I swear, I don't think you've ever made my brain hurt this much, Andre.
Well, what the fuck you think about me? I saw that thing.
I gotta see this. I gotta see this in just over 24 hours. I'm dreading it now. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't even go.
Don't make me say, don't let that go.
What the fuck do you think? Like, I'm just telling you the best. You know how I am. You know how
This
I
is gonna be like Ninja
work.
Turtles Out of the Shadows, only worse.
That was fun, at least.
No, it wasn't. I was yelling and screaming and throwing shit, and that's probably what'll happen here.
Yeah. Well, okay. It was easy to follow.
That was easier to follow, yes, I guess. But that was just because it was so freaking stupid. But this sounds just as stupid, but just not only
we
stupid,
have
but
to do this again after you see it.
well, yeah, we're gonna have to do a roundtable. And Rob, I already paid you for a movie you didn't go see. You're gonna have to go see this now.
Oh, you always want. Let's move on because we have some more that we need to go through before we can finish. So let's go through the rest. Then I've described that. Ronan Blade also sent us $5. All they had to do was bring back Luke from the dead, and they would have filled the seats. Why bring Pal back when they could have had another Sith? Because member berries. That's the best answer I can give to that, and not to undo too much of what was done in Rise of Skywalker. Probably, maybe
Last Jedi, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Kathleen Kennedy put her foot down, bringing back another toxic white male or something. I don't know. Drakel6 sent us $2. So this is basically a bad episode of Alias on LSD. I never saw Alias, so I cannot say. Tom, did you see Alias?
No, but isn't that the whole point of the show? Is she can't remember anything? I don't know.
Is it? I don't fucking know. Never saw it. If the point is that she can't remember, then yes, this is like Alias on LSD. Armchair Warlord also sent us $2 saying, this show has more viewers than Esquire. Hail! Yes, that's awesome. Hail everyone still watching. Sad Rocky sent us $4.99. This whole entire new franchise is all about SJW and female representations. That was the downfall of Star Wars right there. But you know what? I think that if this movie fails, because now we had Charlie's Angels fail, we had Terminator Dark Fate fail, and the representation bit, that's actually not too bad in this one. This one is really, the blue check marks are going to have a problem with this movie because of it. But still, I think that Hollywood is starting to pick up the message. The visual effects by Art sent us $4.99. What does Deus Ex Machina mean? Streaming should be where Star Wars lives, not movies. Tell long story by storytellers, not by big name directors who skew. Anyway, yeah, I've used the term Deus Ex Machina a few times over the course of this because there's so much of this in the movie. Basically, what it means God in the machine. That means that you have written yourself into a tight spot in the plot. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, completely unearned, a solution appears. Like, for instance, I'll give you one example of that. Is when Kylo Ren is completely surrounded, or not, it's no longer Kylo Ren at this point, it's Ben Solo. He's completely surrounded by the Knights of Ren, and they're about to kill him, and he's unarmed because he's already thrown away his lightsaber. And then, how conveniently, out of the blue, Rey force teleports him a lightsaber. So he's like, there's suddenly a lightsaber in my hand. I'm going to kill all these guys. That's so practical.
That pisses me off.
That's another thing. That's a huge plot hole in the movie. The moment that he discards the Kylo Ren persona, he basically becomes a fugitive and a member of the Resistance. Of his own choice. Because formally, he is still supreme leader of the First Order. And he doesn't take advantage of that at all for the rest of the movie. That's a plot hole. Big one.
Yeah, he could have just ended the war.
Or he could have, but he didn't have to end it, because right there you have like Palpatine, who's coming to invade anyway. But he certainly had more options available to him than just randomly going on his own without backup or anything. Because then he basically just leaves the First Order in the hand of some other random dude who apparently worked with Palpatine 30 years ago and who is now the functioning ruler of the First Order. It's really ridiculous. Well,
before you get on to the next super chat, we got a few people asking in the chat about legacy characters. I'm sure some of you are just joining us. I know you answered this already, Andre, but do any legacy characters besides Leia die in the film?
No, none. For one moment there, it appears that Chewie has died, but it's a fake out. He's alive and well.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
So basically, if you guys are wondering what the movie is, just go read those Jedi Paxis leaks, or watch one of our videos or Doomcock's leak videos, and
you'll miss some context, but beat by beat, it's what happens. The leaks are all spot on. So the leaks are all in the movie, but they don't give the full picture.
Which our record for leaks is pretty damn good now, between shit all the way back through.
Freaking fantastic. And people like to call us fake news and stuff like that, but they conveniently ignore all the times that we are right, which is most of the freaking time.
All right, so next super chat, so we can get moving on with these.
It's from Augustine Kinnall, who sent us $5, saying, in a year, I predict Mauler will still be in the middle of his review picking this apart. Yeah, don't rule that out. And then Skipski100 sent us just $1, no comment, thank you so much. Sprocket List sent us £1.99. How much R2-D2 in the film? Any broom boy, aka Ryan? Well, there's very little R2-D2 in the movie. And if you mean the broom boy towards the end of The Last Jedi, if he was in it, I didn't notice. So yeah, that's that. Mika D2 also sent us $2. Odin confirmed that the voice of Ashoka wasn't Brie. Yeah, I didn't recognize her voice in there.
Yeah, I saw a leak of a shot of the end credits, and that's what I read off the whole list of Jedi's voices.
Yeah. Vince Manor, $2. How was John Williams' score? It was a Star Wars score by John Williams, so it was spot on, as always. Cornelius Benedict, $5. Do the old Jedi really tell Rey she succeeded where they failed? Also, Horsey on the Star Destroyers, it's in the movie. Yes, the Horseys are in the movie. They absolutely are. If the old Jedi tell Rey that she succeeded where they failed, I don't recall that line. I'm not saying it's not there, but I do not recall such a line being in the movie. The only thing that we hear from maybe one of them says it. That could be. But basically, the lines from the old Jedi are more, seems like a clip show of line from the old movies, stuff, things like you can do it, and motivational things. And I don't recall each and every line. It could have been that someone said, "You can succeed where we failed," but I don't know. Someone else has to answer that after they see the movie. JVC 12001 sent us $10. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work, Midnight Central. Thank you. We're doing our best, although it's starting to get late. Jonathan Dupree, $5. Big fan of the channel for the last 6 months. Looking forward to next year. Oh, thank you. Well, so do we all. It's going to be an awesome year next year, because then we have Dune coming and Sonic the Hedgehog and loads of other cool things.
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Oh my God, Ghostbusters. That's going to be something. And now we have the movie that we want, or at least something similar to what we want, with the media being against it. So how's that for a spin on the situation from what started Midnight Edge to begin with? It's going to be interesting. Samurai sent us $5. Maybe someone will splice the chauvinistic cut of episode 8 with half of episode 9. Start 9 in a new spot and it will all be perfect. Well, maybe it will all be entertaining. Perfection, I think, may be not on the table for any kind of fan on this one. The DCV Titan sent us another $5 Canadian. Andre, be honest. Is Rise of Skywalker better than Discovery because it's actually better, or because it's over and you dread more Discovery?
Good question.
This is a good question. No, I would say that Rise of Skywalker is better, because what few good things there are in Rise of Skywalker were better than the few good things there were in Star Trek Discovery. In this movie, I actually liked Rey, which is more than I can say for any character in Star Trek Discovery. So I genuinely feel that Rise of Skywalker is better than Discovery, which again, you don't get much more backhanded praise than that. But still, that is what it is. Run Murray 82 sent us $2. Might the rumored Lucas cut have been better? I don't know.
Well, I mean,
could have been. We heard it was better.
From what we know, though, a lot of the stuff that Lucas came up for and his story treatments are in this movie, with the sunken Death Star and a few of the other things, like that one scene in the forest where she's fighting against the little droids, little floating droids. That's right out of one of the concept arts. So,
yeah. I think that's going to be a mystery. Maybe there'll be a movement release the Lucas cut, but I really cannot say. And sometimes in movies like these, where you get different competing cuts, it's not always the case that one is really superior to the others. The difference can be relatively slight. Is often the case. Anyway, moving on. The DCV Titan sent us $2 Canadian. Finishing isn't his strong suit. His poor wife. Oh, yeah.
I say that all the time on After Dark.
Well,
I said that's why she probably helped start the Me Too movement.
Well, there's always this nose.
Oh, Doomcock would have liked that one.
Anyway, Lars Hansen sent us 50 Danish krona. I hope Disney learns their lesson of this disaster and get their woke feminist out of the MCU. I hope so too. I hope that they learn from the lessons that other movies should have shown them by now. You can have inclusion all you want, but there's a difference between that and taking on a political ideology that wants to flip the tables on a perceived historic transgression. That's the end of movies right there. So let's hope that the MCU learns before it's too late. Because just look at this. Look at Star Wars. It was the biggest brand on the planet. One movie turned it around. That's all it takes. One really bad movie. Or it doesn't even have to be bad. It just has to be one really wrong movie. can do all that damage.
Yeah. Just remember, guys, this movie comes out already on Blu-ray in March. I can't express that enough for anybody who's on the
Which means
fence.
that it'll be out digitally even earlier.
Well, yeah.
February.
Well, they announced this because our friends at the Digital Bits announced that they're doing the whole box set or whatever in March in 4K, and it's the whole Star Wars, it's the whole Skywalker saga box set.
Yeah.
So, and it includes Rise of Skywalker.
Pity Little Light sent us $10. Thank you so much. Why were they stubborn about using the better Lucas cut? Does this mean the next regime will ignore the sequel trilogy like the current one attempted to ignore the prequels? Why they were stubborn about using the better Lucas cut? Well, if the Lucas cut indeed is better, then this is just me speculating here. But I would imagine that Kathleen Kennedy has in her contract that she has final cut. And then she might want to release the cut which is closer to her ideology. And since the rumored Lucas cut apparently featured another Skywalker altogether as the one rising, that would then completely undercut all of the wokeness that she's been trying to achieve with this trilogy. I would imagine, I stress this is just my opinion, this is just me guessing, I don't know this, but I imagine that would be a good reason for going in that direction if that indeed is what happens. As to this follow-up question, does this mean the next regime will ignore the sequel trilogy like the current one attempted to ignore the prequels? Oh, hell yes. They're going to want to move away from this and never talk about it again. They're going to explore completely different reasons or things. I would be surprised if we get a follow-up to this, if we see Rey again. I would be surprised. I think it's far more likely that the next trilogy is going to be Old Republic or something like that. That's my take. Guys, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that. Rob?
I think they're already starting to ignore it. With the Mandalorian. I mean, like I said, Mandalorian set after Return of the Jedi. It's like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are saying, no. That stuff they're doing now, no, that's not yours. This is what you want to watch.
Mr. Gently Benevolent sent us $5 Australian. Does the movie at least let us know where Pablo's balls went? Even Van Sciver has been wondering. No, that is still a mystery by the end of this movie. Ricardo Guira sent us $1.99. I heard Finn is shown as force sensitive. True? Not that I saw. I didn't see any indication that he was force sensitive at all, not in this movie. So if there was...
You've hardly talked to him. It doesn't sound like he had much to do even in the leaks.
He did. He was completely wasted. So no, I don't think there was anything about him being force sensitive. I didn't see anything to indicate that. The only thing that he did was basically he met with another woman that was a deserter from the like stormtroopers like him, which was a big deal for him. That's it. That was his role in the movie. That and being annoyed and having annoyed banter with Poe Dameron, so that Poe Dameron could be the stupid sidekick. But that's it. Dreamer Out There sent us $2. Finn was a child soldier. He should be dead inside. No, he's just annoyed inside. That's all. And Skipsky100 sent us another $1. Thank you so much. Matthew Howard Jr. sent us $5. How will people boycotting the Rise of Skywalker affect the actors who are not responsible for the drama caused by Johnson and Kennedy? Not in the slightest. That is how it will affect them. Here's what to keep in mind. For one thing, I do not think that enough people are boycotting the Rise of Skywalker to make a significant impact. But it's not going to affect the actors at all. And it's certainly not going to affect any of the below-the-line people. Because here's the thing to keep in mind. Whenever people are like trying to emotionally manipulate you into like stuff like, oh, think of the actors and the carpenters and the caterers and everyone who worked on the movie. They all got paid already. I don't think that any kind of boycott is going to do anything for any of the actors. Although I do feel bad for them because some of them were quite wasted in this. I even feel a little bit bad for Daisy Ridley, who really does her best, and it's not her fault that Rey up until now has been such a disliked Mary Sue. It's not her fault. And same with all the actors. They're just doing what they're told to do. So I feel bad for them for that. And I feel a little bit bad for Rose Tico, the actress Kelly Marie Tran and everything, because she's in the movie, but she's just there on screen. She might as well have been like dead body number 3 for all the good that she does for the plot. So, yeah. Anything to say about that, Tom, Rob?
No, you go ahead and get through the super chats here, because
Jirka Kobiliskibik sent us chess something 200. How long till a new trilogy is announced as non-canon by Disney? Well, that's going to be a long time. I don't think that's even going to happen.
Not connected to these anyway.
Yeah, no, that these are removed from canon. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, but like we said earlier, we could definitely see a fan movement.
Yeah.
To
if
have
you can
them
remove it from headcanon, they're just going to like move away from it. Them like they never happened, but they're still technically be canon. Sonic Boomers 122 sent us $5. Do you think this film will do better than The Last Jedi, or do you think this will fail to hit $1 billion? This is going to still make money. I think it's going to make less than The Last Jedi. I think it's going to open about the same or slightly less, but I think it's going to earn much less by the time all is said and done. And I'm also inclined to believe that it won't make $1 billion. And because of the cost involved with making it, I also don't think it's going to make much money. And if it does make any money, it's not going to be much. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, before this, I would have said there's no way it's making less than $1 billion, but now I'm starting to wonder, especially now that most of the movie is pretty much leaked.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's going
to open huge. It's going to open to like 200 million. Although I think it's going to open to less than 200 million. I think it's going to open to less.
Yeah, there's some that are tracking it a little lower now. And if anybody wants to know, I mean, I can't remember what the worldwide box office was opening weekend, because now that IMDb owns Box Office Mojo, it's tougher than shit to navigate. But its opening weekend in U.S. for The Last Jedi was 220, down from 247 for Rise of Skywalker. If this movie does anywhere under 200 million, that's a big ass drop.
It is, because remember, The Force Awakens opened to nearly 250. Let's just use the domestic.
That's what I said, 247, yep.
247, and The Last Jedi opened to 220. And this one was tracking for 200. Personally, I think it's going to open to less. I've
seen low end tracking now at 175.
Yeah, I think it's going to be around 180. It's going to be another huge decline. And I think it's going to pull a Batman v Superman, which opened to like those levels. And it's not going to hit 1 billion. I don't think so.
Well, here's the thing you have different is, I said before, it's going to have a big weekend, mainly because, you're going to have the first day or two for people to see it and for people to hear the reviews. This movie is already hitting the internet. This review is a perfect example. The movie doesn't even open here till tomorrow evening in the U.S. It's already open in a lot of places overseas. There's a lot of people online who've already seen it. They had the premiere. There was a lot of people that that we trust in the Fandom Menace that have reviewed it now, that we know, between you, Andre, and like Odin on Geeks and Gamers and a few other people, we've kind of got an idea of what's going into this. After Solo, I'm wondering if they might pull an upset on Disney and a lot of people stay home this weekend.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised, especially if it gets online early. That's going to be the death knell for this.
No, the death knell is going to be the lack of repeat viewings.
Well, that too, but I mean, for the weekend aspect of it,
Yeah,
the
for the
weekend.
weekend
I mean, this could. I mean, I've seen some people throw in like 130 and stuff like that. I would have laughed at those a few weeks ago, but if this takes a major nosedive, you never know. I'm curious to see how it's playing overseas tomorrow when they start bringing out numbers, and I'll be curious to see Friday morning what they say the Thursday night previews do, because you can usually extrapolate from those numbers how the weekend's going to go.
Usually, but of course, then it depends on word of mouth how bad the drop is.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And here you got something where the word of mouth's gotten out ahead of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, normally it takes a day or two to get into it, and that's where I've said, yeah, the movie could fall off the first weekend. Like, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that this movie could open up to like 130 million. I mean,
that would surprise me. That would surprise me. But it's not outside the realm of possibility. No, I mean, who would have thought that Justice League opened to less than 100 million? Yet that's what happened.
Yeah. And then Vincent just brought it up in the chat. I remember Tom was surprised by how poorly Justice League. I mean, I knew it was going to do bad, but I never thought it was going to do as bad as it did.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
But again, going into this movie, as I said when we were on the Geeks and Gamers the other day, this lead up to this reminds me of Justice League. I'm not feeling any hype from anyone. I'm feeling everyone is like, this is a disaster. We just want to get over with. That's the feeling I'm getting. I don't know anyone who's excited to see this. No one.
No, I'm just excited to see the clusterfuck that it is, and
that's what I'm hearing too.
I mean, at this point, I already know it's all true, so it's almost like just going through the motions at this point. It's like if somebody sits there and pretty much acts out Eddie Murphy Delirious before you watch it. At this point, it's like, so I don't even think the jokes are going to land as well for me as far as like how funny some of this shit's going to be. But I get this feeling of just chaoticness from the way you explain it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Sonic Boomers 122 sent us. That's the one I said. Rich A sent us $5 saying, "What do your sources say regarding the Lucas cut referenced by Doomcock? Have you heard anything regarding Lucas' absence from the premiere?"
Here's the thing you guys got to remember. We have had no real confirmation that Lucas has really been involved with anything outside of Mandalorian. Now, we did get a very reliable report early on that he was helping with Obi-Wan behind the scenes by scouting locations and stuff. But again, those are all rumors. This whole Lucas cut business is just a rumor. I haven't heard anything directly about it. It could be just that he made some suggestions and then a cut that he had made that was made off of his suggestions, maybe. As far as like the cuts in the past, most of the versions you've seen of the earlier movies, the original cuts, weren't his cuts. Marshall Lucas and what's-his-face basically cut the first film. Kirshner's cut, I think, is what we see in the set. Kirshner's and Kurt's cut is what is of Empire, and then probably his cut of Jedi, maybe. And then, of course, the prequels. But because, yeah, I know his version of Empire was much longer, boring, and it didn't even have, like, the famous I love you, I know line and stuff like that in it. Yeah, faster and more intense. Actually, as much as he talks about editing, I don't think he's that great of an editor, from what I've heard and gathered. So, I mean, otherwise, wouldn't he have needed his wife to fix the first film? And I do recommend that video. Who does it, Rob? In the cut or whatever it's called, or what was it called? Saved in the Cut, Star Wars.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, saved in the edit.
Yeah, do check out that video. That's a great video that gets into a lot of how the Star Wars was saved in the edit. And again, this is a movie that sounds like it wasn't saved in the edit, and they shot for over a year. There's really no excuse for a lot of this or The Last Jedi, the way things have turned out. So,
yeah. As for me, I haven't heard anything about any Lucas cut, so I'm not disputing it, but I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah.
I cannot say anything of it, and the same with Lucas' absence from the premiere.
He's never gone to the premieres.
I have no insight into that. I can speculate, but that is all. Nothing else.
He has never actually gone to the premieres. That's like something he's notorious for. Him and Spielberg, whenever a movie opens, they don't go to the premiere. They take off to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Now I think he was at the Force Awakens premiere and Rogue One premiere, if I'm not mistaken. So that may be why people were wondering, but he wasn't on the list. Now I don't know if it was an RSVP list either. People have I haven't heard anything confirmed from anybody that he was like neglected in any way. I mean, so I don't think
that would shock me. I think that
because he's a shareholder.
Yeah, that would shock me if he wasn't invited. I think that I dispute. I think that if he's not there by choice.
That's what I mean. He just didn't RSVP, I think.
Yeah.
Same thing with Rian Johnson. I'm sure Rian Johnson didn't want 100 questions on the red carpet.
Of course not. This is a movie that's actively trashing his movie. So it would be weird if he was there. If anything.
Keith E says he definitely was at The Last Jedi. Well, then he just maybe decided he didn't want to be. He could have been just because he wanted to avoid questions.
Basically, again, this is our speculation.
Yeah, because again, nobody can confirm either yet. Yeah, that he wasn't asked.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we don't know. It's as simple as that. We just don't know. Anyway, moving on. The DCV Titan sent us $2 Canadian. KK wore the knee pads and fluffed the right people. Yeah, that's one theory. She's married to Frank Marshall, so there's that. The Andreas sent us 55 Norwegian krona. How do you think the Disney trilogy had turned out if JJ produced all 3 movies? Or at least if he had directed them, I think you mean. I think it would have turned out much, much better. Because if he had done all 3 of them, he would have taken care to make sure there was a story for all 3 of them. Because this way what happened now is that basically you have 3 filmmakers that are all concerned with making their own movie and making the narrative flow and everything. That's like of secondary importance. That's what brought down the first iteration of the DC cinematic universe as well. And here they've repeated those mistakes. So that's what I think. It would have been so much better if JJ had done all of them to begin with. Guys, you agree with that?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it necessarily would have ended much differently at the very, very end there. But again, you have the problem, like you brought up, that this movie is in response to The Last Jedi. He has to basically fix all those flaws to be able to tell any kind of story.
Because then you could have one overarching story.
And he did kind of address that, yeah. And he did say there was a lot of things that I wouldn't have done or I would have done differently, and I get to do them now. So I think that was his way of saying that they ignored the shit that I set up for them and I kind of laid out for them. But now I've got to kind of bring it back around to what I was going to do in the first place. Now, if this is the case and he was going to do this whole, all the bad guys are in either Snoke or Palpatine or all the bad and the good guys are in Rey, if that was his original plan from the beginning, it's a stupid fucking plan. But
if that was the plan, I think it would have been set up.
Here's the thing. I don't think that was, I think a lot of this movie is not what he had initially planned. I really don't.
Yeah.
I think this is a direct result of, because at least 80 or 90% of this seems to be in response to the Last Jedi. So
yeah, absolutely it is.
But no, that was one of my big things was how do you go into something like this without an overall plan? I mean, it's just ridiculous. But yeah, we've all said that.
Yeah. The DCV Titan sent us another $2 Canadian. Got a taste of the boys. Phrasing. That's probably one for you, Rob. Captain Hare sent us $2. About 2 hours in. No takedown. I'm disappointed. Oh, sorry about that.
And that was an hour ago. That's how far behind we are.
Yeah. So
we're still up. I think Disney at this point, and we can't really. We should say allegedly anyway, but yeah,
they're too overwhelmed. The battle is lost on this one.
Oh yeah, there's too much.
The audience has turned on Star Wars, like before with Captain Marvel. There you had the hope that like, okay, we can shut this down, we can shut this down, we can protect this, but can't do that with Star Wars. It's too much.
Yeah, it's like, even though we probably could have got away with a lot on the video today, because I noticed there was a lot of DMCA claims right off the bat, but it got to the point where they were getting so flooded on Twitter and everywhere that I don't think they could have done anything to stop it at that
I don't
point.
think so. I think that's too overwhelmed. Das Pooch sent us $5. The Luke Force Vision idea is great. It worked for Dallas, the old TV show. It could work here. I agree. Should have just made the whole previous movie should have been like a Force Vision. Now the real story could begin in this movie, which is ironic because that's what happened anyway. The story started over in this movie. It's a brand new story. Because Last Jedi closed off the trilogy one movie early. GDP 111 sent us 300 Icelandic krona. Thank you so much. How would Rian Johnson have finished the trilogy though? Did he ask this once before? Well, basically,
that or somebody else did, I think.
Yeah. Well, basically, my answer to that is that Rian Johnson already finished a trilogy in The Last Jedi, and he finished it one movie early. And if he was asked to do yet another movie after that, well, I think he would just have made Rey all the more super powerful, and Kylo all the more toxic male to be humiliated. I can only imagine that must have been doubling down on what was already done. That's my best guess. But really, he finished the trilogy with The Last Jedi, and that's why Rise of Skywalker is such a mess. And then Joshua Vogt sends us, that's V-O-G-T, like in German that would be pronounced Vogt. I don't know how you say it. Sends us $2. Does Rey use Force lightning like some leaks say? Yes, she does. She doesn't do it deliberately. But there is one scene in the movie where there is a display of Force powers between her and Kylo, where basically she's trying to prevent a space shift, the one that has, or seemingly the one that has Chewie as prisoner. She's trying to hold it back with the Force. And then Kylo is trying to, I don't know what the hell he's doing, looking, watching, or maybe he's trying to boost it more or something. Anyway, they're like struggling, and in their struggle, without Rey trying, suddenly she unleashes Force lightning and she destroys the ship. Of course, then she's devastated because then she thinks that she's killed Chewie, which she hasn't. But
out of the leaks, yeah.
Right out of the leaks, but yes, then she does use Force lightning. The leaks are true. You lose some of the context in the leaks, but the leaks are all true, all of them. Even the old ones, the ones about like the antennas and broadcasting and stuff like that, that's not the end of the movie, it's the beginning, but still, even that, there was some level of truth too. And then Commander Pessip sent us chess, whatever the local name of the currency is, 50 of those. C-3PO was built by Anakin from spare parts. No factory settings there. Well, you have to tell that to J.J. Abrams, because they evidently forgot about that. Game of Thrones style. Johnny Rivers sent us $2. I wanted to hear Visa Free again at the end. Yeah, that would have been awesome if we had heard that. But sadly, we did not hear that. That would have been too good. Oscar Perez sent us $10, saying The Mandalorian proves Kennedy is the problem with Star Wars. That show got me back into Star Wars. You know what? That show got me into Star Wars, period. That's how good it is. The Casual Gamer sent us $2 Canadian. Can you guys do a movie review of The Lighthouse? You know what? Yeah, I actually want that. I want to see that movie because for one thing, I'm a huge fan of the company A1 that's making it. So that alone makes me want to see it. and I want to see it to try to convince myself that what's his name again? The new Batman, Twilight Dude. Help me out, Tom.
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
Thank you. Yeah.
So you asked the wrong person. Rob usually remembers names, not me.
Yeah.
Edward Sparkle Pants.
Yeah, that's it. I want to be able to convince myself that this guy is going to be a decent Batman. Because right now, at this moment, I'm not there. I'm really not there. I know that the guy is a good actor and all, but I can't see him as Bruce Wayne. And I hope that his acting in that movie blows me away to the point where I can go that, yeah, he's Bruce Wayne, but I have a hard time seeing that.
I hate to break this to you, but Matt Reeves is another J.J. Abrams disciple.
I was never that sold on Matt Reeves directing Batman either, to be completely honest. I never understood that people were like creaming themselves, like, yay, Matt Reeves, Batman. Okay. So what? What's the big fucking deal? I just don't see it, and I hope that the movie's going to be fine. But I'm not sold. I'm not sold on that at all. I'm not sold on Matt Reeves, and I'm not sold on Robert Pattinson as Batman. But I am sold on The Lighthouse because of A1. So yeah, looking forward to that. And do not rule out the possibility that there may be a review of that to tie into Batman.
I did like the Apes movies of his, but anyway.
I thought they were all pretty overrated. I don't like any of them, really. I like the original one, but that's me. Christopher Fries sent us $5. Is it possible to get the money back from a movie ticket I never brought? Asking for a friend. Well, that question has to go to Tom or Rob, who actually have experience going to cinema in the States. Something I've never done.
If you haven't bought it, no. If you've already bought it, yeah. Most of them will let you refund it up until showtime.
Yeah, and Gabrielle Quiroga sent us $5. Sup, Midnight Crew, can't believe we are finally through with this trilogy. Where do you think Disney should go with Star Wars now? P.S. Hail Doomcock. Yes, Hail Doomcock, good friend of ours. Where do I think that they should go? I think they should go TV. I think that they should do as much as possible they can to rebuild the brand on TV with shows like now The Mandalorian, and especially the Obi-Wan Kenobi show before going Old Republic in the next trilogy. That's what I think.
Today's Mandalorian feels like if we would have had a Star Wars show in like the 80s before it went, completely south. I mean, even before the prequels, because he got real tame in the prequels, because at that point George had little kids and shit, and he didn't want to make movies like the first movies that were a little bit more harder edge. So yeah, we're getting more hard edge out of the Mandalorian now.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I have 2 episodes to catch up of that.
Oh, you're gonna enjoy this latest one. Trust me.
I'll do my best to do that. And then moving on, we have Atlas, who sent us 10 Swiss francs, saying, was Anakin in the movie in some way, or who were the Jedi who channeled into Rey? Anakin was not visible in the movie, but apparently he was one of those who channeled into Rey. There were loads of voices. The only ones that I were able to recognize were those of Yoda and of Qui-Gon Jinn and of...
and actually, I don't even know if that was Qui-Gon Jinn. I think that was old Obi-Wan.
No, Qui-Gon Jinn was definitely there, I think.
I didn't see his name in the list, but all right.
Well, anyway, those are the ones that I noticed, and then there were many others, but I weren't able to spot them. I've heard that he was among them, but I didn't recognize his voice. And the GS Sheriff sent us $2 Canadian with no comment, so just thank you. And the Texan83 sent us 5 New Zealand dollars. So what I'm getting from this movie from Andres, watching it will turn you into Ron Toya. I do not recall. Yeah, after first viewing, that's exactly what it's going to do. Oscar Perez sent us $10. This is the perfect time for a 40K saga to come out. 40K, is that Warhammer or something?
Maybe I think so.
I think so.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure, go for it. Personally, I think it's time for a Conan, but that's me and my obsession. But yeah, bring it on. If someone is willing to fund it, then make it. The GS Sheriff sent us another $5 saying Star Wars needs a reset done by non-social justice warriors. George Lucas destroyed my interest when he created Jar Jar Binks. Good job, guys. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, a lot of work to do in Star Wars, however one chooses to go about it. And John Smallberries, nice name, sent us $5. Do you think it's possible to cut these 3 movies down into one good movie? No, cannot be done. It doesn't matter how good a fan editor you are. There is no way to cut these 3 movies into one good one, because you're always going to have the stopgap in The Last Jedi. Just, it can't be done. It's too different. Well, if you're able to do it, then you're one hell of an editor. If you're able to make a supercut of all 3 movies and make it worthwhile.
Ivan Ortega has his work cut out for him.
So if you're up for the challenge, go for it, and be sure to let us know when you succeed. And then Aaron Thimke sent us $4.99 saying, Merry Christmas, guys. Oh, thank you. Merry Christmas. Keep up the great work. Love your channel. It's so nice to hear that, because there's so many who doesn't out there of the blue check marks and stuff. And then let's see how far we've come. Oh wow! I just got like a new round of super chats here. Ah, here we are, and now it's Dean Hopfsapfel sent us $4.99. Out of curiosity, I checked the seeds today, and there are actually becoming more and more available from returns around me here in New Jersey. Wow, that goes back to what we said about the opening weekend, doesn't it, Tom and Rob?
Yep.
Numcos sent us $10. Andre, if a situation required you to take one film to watch for the rest of time, which would you pick between? The Last Jedi, aka Star Wars Hollywood Special 2, Rise of Skywalker, or Star Wars Holiday Special? Of the 3, I would go with Rise of Skywalker, because I had some enjoyment of it. Like the Last Jedi is the prettier movie to look at. The Holiday Special is just, I saw it once, and since I'm not a Star Wars fan, it's like unwatchable to me. But the Rise of Skywalker, it's a mess. But if I had to watch it for all time, then at least I could have fun trying to remember what the hell the story in it actually is. So there would be that challenge there. So I'd go with that one. Aaron C. sent us $5. You think Disney will get smart and bring in the big guns of the Russo brothers to help Star Wars? Anyone else you're seeing brought in? You know what? I would not be surprised in the slightest if that happened. I think you're going to see so many Marvel people in Star Wars going forward. I really do. And it started already. You have Kevin Feige. You have obviously Jon Favreau. You have the incredible Taika Waititi. And I'm sure there's more people that we don't know the names of behind the scenes. And I'm sure even more are going to come. You know, like like Brie Larson, for instance.
I don't know about Brie, but I was going to say I do think this next trilogy, when we hear the announcement, is going to have a lot of shades of Marvel in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
because you have this problem, is not only is KK getting trashed in the media now too, along not just with the Phantom Menace, but by the actual mainstream media. You have the situation where she's up for, she's only got 2 years left, I think, basically, right? So she's not going to renew. She's been
Oh, she
saying
just
it.
stayed up 2 years. We don't know exactly when. We know that it's up in 2021, but
Yeah,
is it up on January 1st, November 2nd? We don't know.
and
But
not
we
only
do
that,
know that she's for all intents and purposes, she's gone already.
we've had a lot of reports where like there's even directors and people who don't want to work there because of her,
Yeah.
and they've flat out said it.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling Bob Iger's going to be running major, like, no, don't worry, you're not going to have to deal with Kathy kind of shit.
Yeah, he doesn't want to deal with her by all accounts.
So, I mean, yeah, I think a lot of it is going to be trying to get talent on board. I think the big start is going to be if people start to see like Kevin Feige and Jon Favreau and all those guys coming in and working on it, they're like, well,
Yeah. The follow-up question: anyone else you see being brought in? James Gunn. I see James Gunn being brought in.
Oh yeah, a lot of Marvel people probably will.
So
They'll probably give
all
Deborah Chow is probably going to get a movie. I think at some point. I bet.
Someone else that I think might be brought in are the My Countrymen, the Norwegian guys who recently made both the Pirates of the Caribbean and the Maleficent sequel. I forgot the Norwegian guy's name, but that's only because it's starting to get later and I've been rambling for 3 hours now.
I know, that's why I've been trying to keep it short so you can get through the super chats here.
Moving on. Jaybird the Third sent us $5. For those tempted to see this just to see how bad it is, you already know it's bad. Execute Order 1977 instead, and wait for the return of Skywalker until it hits Redbox. I think many are going to do that. May not even be Redbox, if you catch my drift. But yeah. And then Cliff Biram sent us $10. This is a refusal to coordinate and face reality. There is no reason this needed to be a trilogy. Once Last Jedi dropped, they should have either scrapped this as Legends or announced 3 more movies. It's easier to say after the fact, but the problem is that they'd already committed. And Last Jedi was so beloved by critics. What the hell could they do? They painted themselves into a corner. That's the legacy of The Last Jedi, painting into corner, both in front of and behind the camera. Kiara Odyssey sent us $5. Does this movie take shots at Rian Johnson and The Last Jedi? Oh, hell yes, it does. Also, are there any videos within the coming week about Spider-Man or Venomverse? I haven't planned any. Is there any reason we should have any?
Unless some news drops, not that I know of. I mean, I think they're moving along on Venom 2, but I haven't heard much. I don't even know if they've started shooting yet or anything like that. Or I haven't heard anything about Spider-Man either. So
I haven't heard. Well, basically, we have no plans in this moment. But plans have been known to change on very, very short notice. So if there is some huge thing that's happened while we've been having this that we've missed, there could be one tomorrow. Oh yeah. X Morbius sent us $5. Love the channel. Thanks for doing this roundtable. What was the most unexpected thing you saw, if anything? Yes, there was one thing which really surprised me and which I really enjoyed. The humanizing of Rey. That surprised me. I fully expected that this was going to be more of the Mary Sue bestest ever, but it wasn't. That actually subverted my expectations. I fully expected that she was going to defeat everyone handily, and by proxy defeat every male that's ever been there. But no, she didn't defeat the Emperor. She let the Force channel all the other Jedi through her. She was more humble, and she had an actual character arc in this movie, like she should have had in the first one, but she had it here. That was a great surprise to me. I did not see that coming. James Voorhees sent us $5. So was the last scene that JJ told Kevin Smith it would melt his mind? Was Rey looking at the twin sunset on Tatooine? I don't know what JJ told Kevin Smith would melt his mind, but the final scene is indeed Rey looking at the twin sunset on Tatooine, which was like a nice scene, of course. That's like the favorite scene, the best scene in the original. But I thought it was like a little bit pointless, to be honest. It was obviously there to be pretty to look at, because the reason that she's there is to bury what I think was Luke's and Leia's lightsabers, and she force buries them at the Luke Skywalker's home on Tatooine, which I think is kind of like pointless, because he made it clear in the original movie there was nothing for him there. He was done with that place. He had left and he was never going back again. So why on earth bury it there, of all places? Unless, of course, for us, the audience, to get that shot of the twin suns. Was it a pretty scene? Yes, but it was a pretty pointless one.
How would she even know to go there?
Yeah, that's another good question. Because, like, she must have done some pretty extensive research on him to know that, and she must have misunderstood it completely. Because it was a shithole. She went back to a shithole that Luke left, and that Leia had no connection to it in any way. But yeah.
So not only that, Luke's house was burnt down.
Yeah, that too. It was like this just pile of rubble. Anyway, Trooper Beer, FM2525, sent us $5. Then they came for Ahsoka Tano. Doomcock was right. Ruse of Skywalker used her to prop up Rey. Truly a heinous act for the altar of wokeness. Well, maybe she was there among the Force, the Force people that were channeled, but I didn't see her in the movie other than that. Maybe she was there, but I didn't see. And then ActionCom sent us $5. How would you gauge JJ's reputation at this moment? Is he still the Wonder Kid? What's his future? Well, to be answered the first one, his future is just fine, because he's already secured this $500 million deal with DC, with Warner. And so what's in his future? Well, he could be back at doing Superman that he tried to do once before. And before, he tried to make Lex Luthor a Kryptonian and use Matrix fighting and everything between them. But that was because the Matrix has just come out at the time, so maybe he's changed his mind since then. But anyway, his future is just fine. Is he still the Wonder Kid? Yeah, he's still going to be the Wonder Kid, but this is a chink in the armor. This is a chink in the armor. Let there be no mistake about that. Or a crack in the facade is maybe a better way of putting it, isn't it? Tom? Rob?
I would hope he's going to be exposed, but as we all know, in Hollywood these days, you fail upward.
Well, he's already done that, so yeah.
Yeah. He's going to just keep on failing upward.
Yeah. And Daniel J. Vogt, and I hope I'm not messing up your name there, but that's how my Germanic pronunciation of it would be. Maybe it's, yeah. Well, anyway, sent us $10 Australian. Love your channel, guys. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry if I butchered your name. And Rin Wesley sent us $4.99. Just want to say thank you for actually reading super chats during streams and not putting them off in a separate video. Oh, well, thank you. We always try to give everyone who supports us with money the respect of addressing it right away, even if that means running more than 2.5 hours over schedule as we're doing right now. So we'll be,
but we're getting close
now. Yeah. And we have 2 more super chats to go through in the last 5 minutes. The DCV Titan sent us $5 saying Leia may have had an attachment to Tatooine and other places. I mean, the dust of Alderaan had to have ended up all over the place. Yeah, this is true. This is a very good point. And Sontar sent us $2 Canadian. Release the Lucas cut. And with that, I believe we are caught up. And since we are caught up, I am going to take the occasion to say thank you for every single one who have been watching this. It'll be very interesting to hear what you think about the movie, if indeed you choose to see it. And their Harsnet sent us €5. Cheers from Germany. I agree. Reading super chats is cool. Thanks. Yes, thank you all. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for watching to every single one of you. And Observer Dude just sent us £10. Do you think episode 9 should have been a retcon where 7 and 8 were premonitions that Luke had, and he reunites with Han and Chewbacca, and they go to Jakku to find Rey, in contrast to them finding Luke? I was actually the one that launched that idea that I see many haven't picked up on, but I was the one who launched it. So yes, I agree with it. Hell, I agree with that's what they should have done. And with that, everyone, thanks for watching. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have this spoiler cast with you. And be sure to keep watching our upcoming videos. Watch all your favorite YouTubers and let us all know what you think about this in other upcoming videos. And with that, I want to, on behalf of Tom and Rob who joined, just say thanks to you and thanks to everyone. Bye.
Thank you.